After finally defeating Kisetsu and freeing Koko, Nan, and Mira, Supreme Commander Ren declared a state of emergency at Mato due to the increasing threat posed by the 8 Thunder Gods. Following this, Yuki unlocked the Thunderous Roar form when he paired with Mira during training. Now that Kisetsu is gone and resides within Yuki, what will the other members of the 8 Thunder Gods do next? And how will the Demon Defense Force face these powerful beings? Let's find out. In the next scene, Ren arrived at the 7th Squad dorm and said that she unexpectedly had some free time on her hands, so she decided to drop by, which caught Yuki by surprise. She asked where Kyoko was, so Yuki informed her that Kyoko was with the 1st Squad and that she apparently had some business to attend to with Ryu, prompting Ren to comment that the timing was unfortunate. She then caught a scent that grabbed her attention and asked Yuki if he was cooking, to which Yuki nodded, making her smile as something came to mind. Soon after, Yuki served Ren the food he had prepared, such as steamed white rice, miso soup, grilled fish, and simple side dishes. As Ren gave her thanks for the meal, she commented inwardly that it was bizarre to see the Supreme Commander eating there with them. But still, as she watched Ren eat gracefully, he thought that even the way she ate was beautiful. After a short while, Ren finished everything that had been served to her down to the last grain and happily thanked Yuki for the meal, to which Yuki told her not to mention it. Yuki was also pleased to see that Ren had eaten everything, when she suddenly commented that the traditional Japanese meal was delicious and that she could really feel the seasonal taste, which surprised him. She then grabbed him by the shoulder and said that it was time for his reward, ordering him to sit down as if commanding a dog, which left him utterly confused. When he did not immediately comply, Ren pointed out that she had told him to sit like that, then shoved him down with force, making him bow and lower himself like a dog. When he did so, Ren began squishing his cheeks while asking in a babying tone who's a good boy. She then hugged him while he was still like a dog, making his eyes widen in shock as he wondered inwardly what was even happening, while Ren continued to play with him with a delighted expression. Ren's expression suddenly changed and turned cold, as if something unpleasant had crossed her mind, and she stood up while commenting that this really was not the same as what she had been referring to. She said this while seemingly looking down on him, adding that there was no point in doing something like that to an ordinary Yuki, while Yuki simply looked at her with a confused expression. After that, Ren left the 7th Squad dorm. While flying, she thought to herself as she recalled Yuki's Eternal Chains form when she was the one using it, that disciplining Yuki would have to wait until after he had been placed in a slave form. Otherwise, she added while remembering how she had been humiliated by the reward system of the Eternal Chains, she could not call it revenge for last time. She increased her flying speed even more as she swore that she would come back. While that was happening, the scene shifted to the hideout of the 8 Thunder Gods. Inside, Joryu was shown sitting on a flat stone while holding her stomach. There, she saw Kisetsu and asked why she had entered her, to which Kisetsu replied that it was because she was so big and warm, as she sat on her lap and within her body. Kisetsu happily added that it felt cozy. Joryu continued holding her stomach as she listened, and before long, a tear fell from her right eye, showing that she had feelings and was hurting from Kisetsu's defeat. Shikoku then arrived and called out to her, saying that some news had come in. Here, Shikoku was shown with a serious and incensed expression as she added that the 8 Thunder Gods were gathering. In the next scene, Joryu and Shikoku head to the gathering place of the 8 Thunder Gods. There, a tall figure greets the two of them. It is revealed to be Jakuan, and Joryu remarks that she actually came out to welcome them. She replies that it is the least she can do as the youngest. She adds that everyone is already there, and she points the way for Joryu and Shikoku. Shikoku asks her if her research is going well, and she answers that it is, though there is still much she wants to learn. Truthfully, she says she would rather continue her studies if not for the deplorable Demon Defense Force. Before long, they arrive at a massive meeting room, with a round table at its center and a gigantic door at the far end. Inside the room are Ryron and a hooded figure floating in the air. Ryron tells them that they are late, and the hooded figure's face cannot be seen due to the mask she is wearing. Then, someone descends from above, and Juryu senses it. She manages to react to the extremely powerful attack launched at her. The intensity of the blow is clear in her eyes, as she pushes the attacker away to create distance. The attacker remarks that Juryu managed to parry her surprise attack, meaning she has not grown rusty despite her grief. It is revealed that the attacker's name is Narahime, another one of the 8 thunder gods. Juryu responds that if anything, her power has only been fueled by anger. Narahime grins and suddenly strikes her in the stomach, saying that this is how a thunder god should be. Then someone speaks up, drawing attention. She says that it is Shikoku who seems quite down, and the speaker has a hairpiece similar to that of Supreme Commander Ren. Shikoku says that she regrets her choices and that she never should have let Kisetsu go alone. Because of that, the thunder god with the hairpiece similar to Supreme Commander Ren and overall look in general tells her that they will wipe out the humans in Kisetsu's honor, and her name is Fukuma. A brilliant light then draws all of their attention, and from that radiance, another thunder god descends. She is Taikyoku, the one who appears to be the oldest among them all. Shikoku greets her, who she tells to kneel, which she immediately does. Taikyoku says that she cannot leave their mother's side, and that she believes Shikoku could command the forces on her behalf, but the defeat of a god is an unimaginable fiasco. Shikoku does not know what to say, so she simply bows her head and says that she cannot forgive herself. Suddenly, Taikyoku pierces her from behind, blood splattering as her eyes widen in agony. It turns out to be a massive sword, and an enormous amount of blood pours from her wound. Taikyoku then tells her that during the short while it takes for her wounds to heal, she is to suffer until she is satisfied. She must not dwell on what happened to Kisetsu, because judgment has already been passed upon her. Shikoku responds with an acknowledgement, while Taikyoku tells the other gods not to blame Shikoku. Fukuma thinks to herself that they never intended to blame Shikoku to begin with, and from Jakuan's perspective, the only one blaming her is Taikyoku. They then take their seats at the round table, and of course there are now only 7 of the 8 thunder gods, since Kisetsu has been eliminated. Taikyoku says that their original plan was to launch a mass attack once all 8 had assembled, so she asks Shikoku what they should do now. Shikoku answers that the Demon Defense Force's ability to organize is better than they expected, so the event planned for after the combined attack, the Day of Purification, will be moved up. This shocks Rairan and Narahime. Shikoku adds that when the Day of Purification arrives, they will launch their all-out attack. Jakuan says that their combat capabilities will skyrocket, while Fukuma adds that they will defeat the Demon Defense Force far more thoroughly. However, Rairan disagrees and slams her hand on the table, calling it nonsense. She says that such an approach is the way of cowards, and asks how many more preparations they intend to make. Shikoku replies that she would appreciate it if Rairan would mind her words, while Narahime says that one of the gods has been defeated, so they must have their revenge, and Juryu agrees with her, siding with Rairan as well. Shikoku is unable to respond, while Jakuan proposes a compromise. She suggests that they proceed with Shikoku's proposal, but also attack the Demon Defense Force. What they will send are the devotees of the divine, the hooded, masked figures. They are former humans, and the powers granted to them by the gods allowed them to transcend humanity. In exchange, they act as the gods' foot soldiers, carrying out their bidding. According to Jakuan, the best of the devotees of the divine will be promoted into the ranks of the 8 thunder gods, and if that happens, they will gladly give it their all. For now, that is the hooded, masked devotee accompanying them. Shikoku adds that, moreover, this devotee is a former Demon Defense Force commander. It is revealed that her name is Yumeji Shimomura, and Rairan says they should let her prove that she is as strong as they are. Shikoku then mentions that she has something she wants to discuss with Rairan and Fukuma. Fukuma remarks that Shikoku's face clearly shows she is plotting something. So Shikoku says that if they are going to make a move, they might as well do it boldly, and Rairan agrees. Taikyoku smiles at that, and says that their mother's wish is for at least 1,000 executions per day, so they must work to make that day a reality. They will make humanity bow before their divine might, and with that, they all move out, together with Yumeji. In the next scene, we return to Yuki, who asked whether they should investigate the skies of Mado. Yakumo replies that they have discovered almost nothing up to this point, but if the 8 thunder gods are already moving, that might have changed. Then she kisses Kyoka on the cheek, which leaves her startled, and says that she is borrowing Yuki. Because of that, Kyoka chases after her, who she calls sensitive as ever, while Yuki can only watch in shock as they act that way. Soon after, we see Yakumo riding on Yuki in his Eternal Chain's Phoenix Wings form. Yakumo then tells him to get moving, so he activates her ability. She then wraps both herself and Yuki in wind and begins to spin it around them overhead. Yuki looks up in surprise as Yakumo gathers the surrounding wind, and using Twilight Dance Troupe Night Storm, she forms a massive tornado. With it, she creates an incredibly powerful gust to clear the sky. Yuki is amazed by the sight, and Yakumo says that if there is anything wrong, they should be able to see it now. From below, using binoculars, Kyoka spots what looks like a gate higher up in elevation, about 4 kilometers to the east. Yakumo also sees it and says that it must be what they are looking for. When they get closer, she notices cracks in it and says that it looks like it is about to disappear, then tells Yuki to dash straight toward it. Yuki objects that they might end up in the enemy's base, but she assures him that everything will be fine because she is there. Feeling reassured, Yuki agrees to enter the gate. He accelerates toward it and slips inside just before it closes. After passing through, they find themselves in the human world near an island. Yakumo is surprised, and according to her phone's search, it is an uninhabited island near Japan. They head to the island, and Yuki says that there does not seem to be anything unusual there, so Yakumo concludes that they must have entered an ordinary gate. She adds, while taking off her boots, that at least now they know there is nothing amiss in Mado's skies. Then she removes her vest as well and tells Yuki that he can tickle her now. Yuki asks in shock if that is his reward, and Yakumo replies that she guesses he was inspired by watching her exchange with Kyoka. Yuki blushes a little as he starts tickling Yakumo's feet. The commander of the 5th squad squirms from the tickling and even seems to be enjoying it. She reacts even more strongly when Yuki tickles her around the waist, saying that is giving her shivers. When the reward ends, she says it was great stimulation, and in return she says she will mess with him back, which leaves Yuki stunned as he asks if the reward is not already over. Yakumo jumps on him and hugs him, telling him not to get bogged down in the details. However, she is interrupted when Tenka arrives and says she came to rescue them. Yakumo is happy about how fast the backup arrived, while Tenka says that is because the Demon Defense Force is exceptional. Yakumo then hugs Tenka and Yuki and tells them that the 3 of them should enjoy themselves, but Tenka reminds her that they are still in the middle of a mission. Yakumo tries to push it anyway, but Tenka holds her back with one hand, making Yuki think that her resilience really is impressive. After that, we move to a riverside area in the human world, where Yuki is standing. He looks lost because he does not know where he is, but as he looks around, he realizes it is near his family's house. To his surprise, a woman nearby greets him, and it turns out to be Kisetsu. He then realizes that he is inside his mindscape, and that he is there because he fell asleep from exhaustion after the aerial search of Mado. He also thinks this is his chance to gather information from Kisetsu, so he sits beside her to talk. He asks her about the 8 thunder gods, such as where they are and what their abilities are, but before he can finish, Kisetsu tells him that she does not want to. Yuki is shocked by that, and Kisetsu asks him what he plans to do. Then Kisetsu suggests that he try asking her body instead, while she starts taking off her clothes. Yuki hesitates for a while, and asks Kisetsu if it is right that she exists inside him. That would mean that if he dies, she would die too. Kisetsu laughs loudly at Yuki's question, and says she wonders how he plans to try to convince her. She says he went straight for the boring approach, like a real virgin. Yuki gets annoyed and says that has nothing to do with it. Kisetsu then says it is true that no one can defeat Taikyoku, and that if Yuki were to fight her, he would die, which makes him wonder who Taikyoku is. Kisetsu adds that from reading Yuki's memories, there is one of the 8 thunder gods that he would be surprised to meet. Yuki asks what she means, but she tells him that he will get nothing more from her. After saying that, she slowly vanishes, adding that if Yuki dies, then that will be the end of it. Yuki is left stunned, as Kisetsu suddenly disappears from in front of him. He realizes that he was right about the 8 thunder gods being pretty dangerous because of what Kisetsu said about Taikyoku, and he wonders where they are and what they might be planning. In the next scene, we return to the base of the 7th squad, where Shushu is showing Yuki a game and asks him if he knows it. Yuki gets excited because it is the new Street Savior game, and he says he did not know it had already been released. Shushu replies that they should play it in her room next time they have a break. Yuki initially hesitates because they need to prepare for the 8 thunder gods, but he remembers what Nei said about resting whenever possible, so he agrees to Shushu's offer, which makes her extremely happy. After that conversation, Shushu goes back to her room to pick out what she will wear when she greets Yuki. First, she chooses underwear from the many options she has. She considers aiming high by wearing lingerie to look sexy for Yuki. At the same time, she also thinks about playing up her best qualities by wearing something cute instead. She cannot decide what to wear because it has been a long time since they have been alone together, and she does not want to waste that opportunity. However, in the end, no matter what plans she comes up with, they all seem to fall apart, so she decides to just be her normal self. She thinks that what matters most is spending time with Yuki, and that they should just enjoy themselves naturally. After that, they start playing Street Savior 6, and Yuki wins the first match. Shushu comments that the developers really balanced everything in that game. She then suggests another round, and Yuki confidently agrees. Shushu laughs at how fired up he is, and Yuki says it is because he does not need to be careful around Shushu, so he cannot help but fool around. Shushu is surprised by that, while Yuki thanks her for inviting him to play. She then realizes that commanders are high level, so just thinking about them already intimidates Yuki. Compared to them, she is a year younger than him and just a normal squad member, so her approachability is her strength. Then she tells Yuki that she has another invitation for him, which is to go to a cafe that is doing a collaboration with Street Savior. Yuki says he would like that, but he is not sure about going out of Mado for an outing. Before he can finish, Shushu says it is being held in Kochi, which surprises him because it is close to their dorm. Because of that, they head out to the human world, and Shushu says she goes around there sometimes, so she will lead the way to the cafe. Yuki agrees, and says that Shushu has a good sense of style. Shushu replies that she never settles for anything less when going to the human world, and that she can also put together an outfit for Yuki, which he agrees to. Shushu feels happy and a little flustered at that, while Yuki suddenly notices something that surprises him. There is a crowd of people gathered around, so he asks if something happened. He and Shushu approach the crowd, and see that people are making a fuss over a cat stuck on top of a very tall fence. The cat is still just a kitten and is clearly terrified, which makes Yuki worry. Shushu immediately grabs his hand and pulls him along to help rescue the kitten. Shushu says it is difficult for her to control her strength, so she will leave the rescue to Yuki, which surprises him. Even so, he agrees, and Shushu thinks that she will undo her transformation after the rescue, because people would panic if they saw her giant form. She uses Paradigm Shift to enlarge herself and lifts Yuki up so he can reach the kitten. Yuki quickly grabs it and tells Shushu that they are good to go, who immediately returns to her normal height. Yuki sets the kitten down, and the people cheer for their successful rescue mission. At the same time, Shushu thinks that just now, that the way she limited her super size for a short time might mean she has found a new possibility for Paradigm Shift. Then Yuki calls out to her and says the kitten is safe, so they should head to the cafe. He admits that even he is surprised at how excited he is to go there, and he is looking forward to it. Shushu answers Yuki with an okay, and they start walking toward the cafe. As they do, she thinks about how good she feels about how she is doing. She came to Mado looking for thrills, but she cannot believe how much Yuki makes her heart race. We also see that she helped him look for clothes after they went to the cafe. Shushu also adds that whether it is in war or love, she can't lose. In the next scene, we shift to the base of the 8 Thunder Gods, where Fukuma is dancing around and clearly enjoying herself. Ryron arrives and asks if that is the form she is taking again. Fukuma replies that it looks good and that she likes it. She then changes into another form, this time imitating Commander Varvara, but with minor changes to the color scheme. Ryron comments that there is nothing special about rejects, and at that moment, Shikoku arrives. She says that it looks like the devotees of the divine are ready to attack, which makes Ryron smile. She adds that it will be a simultaneous coordinated strike, and with that, they should get moving as well. After that, we return to the 7th squad, where Kyoka tells them that they need to find a way to keep up with the growing strength of their enemies, such as the 8 Thunder Gods and the unique Shuki. She says that each of them has been working hard, and that her master will surely provide excellent guidance so they can grow even stronger. Because of that, they will be heading to the 1st squad, since it is time for joint training. Then we move to the dorm of the Demon Defense Force 1st Squad, where the 7th Squad is changing into their gi uniforms. Nei comments that it is neat that the 1st Squad has a dojo, while Himari says that it looks like they are the only ones who have one. According to Shushu, it is awesome how Mayuga has remained strong even as she has grown older, while Kyoka adds that the 1st and 9th Squad seem like they each have 2 commanders. A little later, after they finish changing, Kyoka explains that the training program is the result of meticulous fine-tuning, so they should absorb everything they can from it, to which Himari and Shushu responded with a yes ma'am. She then thinks that the dojo brings back memories, since it reminds her of her own training days there in the past. Meanwhile outside, Yuki is there inspecting the place, and he is extremely impressed because even the tiniest nooks and crannies are spotless. In the middle of that, he sees Konomi coming out of the dorm, wearing her school uniform. She is practicing her martial arts moves, and even shows a high kick, where her panties are clearly visible. After she changes her gear, she notices Yuki, and says that she did not realize he was already there. Yuki asks her if she just got back from school, and she answers yes, adding that once classes are over, she becomes a commander in the Demon Defense Force. That makes Yuki think that there really are many different kinds of commanders. At that moment, Ryu appears and calls out to him. He thanks her for having him, but to his surprise, she tells him that she does not have time to be bothering with him. She explains that the first half of the program will be less joint training and more about observing the 7th Squad, and that Yuki will be accompanying Konomi on patrol. She adds that there is something worth learning, and that she will also tell Konomi about it. Yuki replies yes ma'am, while Ryu thinks to herself that Tavares seems to like Yuki, who said that one day Yuki Wakura will belong to the Izuma family, but for now they will see what he is worth. After that, Konomi finishes changing and starts stretching. She begins by bending her knees, then reaches for her feet while sitting. She then bows to Yuki and says that she is looking forward to working with him that day. So Yuki bows back and says that the honor is his. He adds that Konomi does not need to be formal, but she explains that he is older and her senior sister, Kyoka's slave. Yuki responds that it just feels strange to have a commander using polite language with him. Konomi is surprised to hear that, and says that if Yuki would be more comfortable, she will talk to him normally. In return, she says that he does not need to use polite language with her either, to which he replies got it, and calls her Konomi-chan. Konomi then starts running and invites Yuki to begin their patrol. Before long, they are deep into Mado, with Konomi maintaining a steady pace, while Yuki is already breathing hard. He is surprised that she is just running casually during patrol. At that point, she asks if he is okay, and he answers that he can manage. Konomi adds that Yuki should make sure to drink plenty of water, handing him a bottled drink. Yuki thanks her, and they stop briefly for a water break. At that moment, 3 Shuki appear nearby, along with 1 giant Shuki. Yuki is startled by this, so Konomi tells him to stay behind her. She says she will use her ability, which excites Yuki because he will get to see another commander's power in action. Konomi then uses her golden Shingi Quan beast power, where the strength of a tiger seems to be channeled by her. The Shuki rush in, and she strikes them with Tiger Claw Strike, combining uppercuts, several kicks, dodging maneuvers, and slashing strikes, eliminating the regular Shuki with ease, shocking Yuki. After that, the giant Shuki tries to punch her from behind, so she plants her foot on the ground and leaps high into the air to evade it. At the same time, she prepares her hands for the finishing blow, the Tiger Crunch Fist, which she drives into the giant Shuki's jaw, nearly disfiguring its face. The giant Shuki is completely defeated after that and is launched high into the air. When Konomi lands, Yuki is about to ask what she just did, but before he can finish, she explains that it is her own personal kung fu, based on Shingi Quan. Hearing that, Yuki thinks that he might want to adopt the movements of a wild tiger into his slave form. Then from a distance, someone appears to be watching Yuki and Konomi, holding a tablet with a photo of Konomi. She says that so her target is the youngest commander of the Demon Defense Force, and that it will be a fitting comeback for the defeat of their youngest god. She adds that Konomi is also a fellow pupil of Kyoka, which makes her even more eager. That watcher is revealed to be Yumeji Shimomura, the former commander of the 7th Squad. After that, we return to the 1st Squad dorm, where Konomi is sparring with Kyoka. No matter what move Konomi throws at her, Kyoka easily takes her down every time. Konomi praises her skill and calls her senior sister, while Kyoka replies that she will keep facing her for as long as she wants, so Konomi should give her everything she has. Then we see in the dojo detail in the dojo, which is the scrolls, one bearing the words mind, body, and spirit, and another that reads victory in a single strike. Yuki thinks to himself that when it comes to barehanded training without abilities, no one can stop Kyoka, while Ryu, who is speaking with the defense force, tells them to take a break for now. She then informs Kyoka and Konomi that a gate has appeared 3 clicks to the north. Kyoka says that she and Yuki will go, adding that she has a technique she wants to try in actual battle, so Yuki nods in agreement. Konomi says that once she catches her breath, she will immediately follow Kyoka and Yuki, while Ryu tells them to do whatever they want as commanders, clearly showing her full confidence in the two of them. After that, Yuki and Kyoka head to the location where the gate has opened. There, Kyoka summons Yuki into her sword in order to use the Sword of Subjugation. Facing them is an enormous and beefy Shuki, with several normal Shuki behind it. The normal Shuki leap onto the giant's back to merge with it, while Kyoka begins charging her attack. The giant Shuki grows even larger, while the power of Kyoka's Sword of Subjugation continues to rise. When the giant Shuki finally attacks, Kyoka releases the Sword of Subjugation. With no difficulty at all, Yuki obliterated the giant Shuki, which pleased Kyoka, as what she had been thinking proved to be a success. She realized that the longer she charged the Sword of Subjugation, the stronger it became. Even if the other Thunder Gods are stronger than Kisetsu, they would not be able to match that attack, and Yuki also seems pleased with the result. Meanwhile, Konomi is hurrying to catch up to them, even leaping long distances to speed up her arrival. However, when she reaches the battlefield, it is filled with smoke and the gate has already closed. She looks around for Kyoka and Yuki, and when she finally finds them, she is shocked by what she sees. The two of them are topless and kissing each other. She witnesses their intense kiss, and both of them are clearly blushing.
Oh my!
Konomi has no idea how to react or what to do, because she cannot believe what her senior sister is doing. After that, the scene shifts to the human world at a school. In Class 1C, Konomi is there, but she is clearly not paying attention, staring blankly out the window. She is thinking about what Yuki and Kyoka were doing, because based on what she heard, the two of them are not romantically involved. Still, the look on Kyoka's face while she was kissing Yuki makes her wonder if that was the look of love. She feels happy for Kyoka and cheers for her internally, but because of the agitation building up inside her, she accidentally unleashes her powers in the middle of class. Several classmates are blown back by the impact and panic erupts. Konomi is shocked by what she has done, while her teacher scolds her and tells her not to release her power during class. She apologizes, while some of her classmates laugh at her. After class, a classmate named Emma Makura calls out to her and asks what happened earlier, wondering if Konomi had zoned out. Konomi thinks for a moment, before saying that she was just thinking about what it feels like to kiss someone. Emma is shocked to hear that, and playfully bumps into her, teasing her that it is strange to think about something like that during class. Konomi replies that she was just curious, which makes Emma's expression turn serious, as she asks if Konomi likes someone. Konomi says it is not like that, so Emma jokingly asks if she is sure. Inside Konomi's thoughts, she cannot help but remember how her senior sister, who is usually rigid like a blade, had been completely subdued and softened, making her wonder if kisses really are that amazing. She then recalls something Yakumo once told her, that if she ever had questions about adult things, she could come to her alone. Yakumo had promised she would not do anything, with a look and tone that clearly suggested she would. Konomi does not seem to remember that part, deciding she might ask her another time. Because of that, Emma comments that Konomi seems to be thinking about something again, adding that she has reached that age. Konomi replies that they are already in high school, while Emma says that if Konomi is curious about kissing, why not try kissing her? Konomi asks if she is serious, and Emma is surprised that Konomi takes her words at face value. They end up staring into each other's eyes, and Konomi steps closer to Emma, even grabbing her by both shoulders. But instead of kissing her, Konomi suddenly pushes Emma aside, which confuses her. That is because at that moment, Yumeji enters the scene and attacks them. Because of Konomi's action, Yumeji's sword only strikes the ground. Konomi immediately prepares her counterattack and delivers a spinning back kick toward Yumeji, but Yumeji dodges it. After that, the two of them pause, and Yumeji says that this is her way of saying hello. Emma is left completely shocked, while Konomi instantly recognizes Yumeji as a former commander. Yumeji says that they should see how their abilities compare, with her being a former commander who wields the power of the gods, and Konomi being a current commander. Konomi responds that she will restrain Yumeji. Yumeji then said that in her opinion, merely restraining her would not be enough, and behind her, two Shukis appeared. Konomi prepared to attack again, while Yumeji added, as she revealed her Shuki cards, that she was no longer exactly human anymore. Then the two Shukis charged at Konomi. Using her golden Xingyi-Quan beast power, she clawed the first Shuki like a tiger, and then delivered a powerful jumping kick straight to the jaw of the second. Yumeji followed up by attacking next, throwing her sword at Konomi. Even though her back was turned, Konomi sensed it, so she used penetrating tiger fang, forming a chomping motion with her hands, allowing her to shatter the sword Yumeji had thrown. Because of that, Yumeji figured out Konomi's ability, calling it simple but powerful. She added that she doubted Konomi could defeat her, but since she still had many battles ahead, she would make things easier for herself. As she said that, one of the devotees with her grabbed Emma, making Konomi worry. Emma was terrified of her situation, while Yumeji said that if Konomi moved, Emma would die. Konomi looked at Emma, then back at Yumeji, glaring at her with anger. Yumeji then asked if Konomi had any last words, saying she would just convey them to Kyoka and the others. That only made Konomi even angrier, while the devotee suddenly felt sharp pain piercing her body, as thorn-like spikes began to appear. It turned out those came from Emma, who used her ability called the Bow of Peach Wood and Arrow of Thistle Thorn Power. Using it, she released thorns that attacked the devotee who was holding her. With the devotee distracted, Konomi seized the opportunity to kick her away, sending her flying far back. She then checked on Emma, asking her if she is okay, who said she was fine, and added that after all, her dream was to join the Demon Defense Force. Konomi smiled at that, while Yumeji clapped mockingly and called Emma's powers a gem. After that, Konomi jumped back into action and said that Yumeji would pay for it. In the next scene, we move to a mountainous area in Japan. There was a hot spring where Fubuki was resting, thinking that the trip there had been worth it. Suddenly, she was attacked by a woman on her right wielding guns, another woman in front of her preparing what looked like a magical blast, and a woman on her left who tried to behead her with a massive axe. However, she immediately drew her soul-piercing lance sunset, and with a single circular spin, she dispatched the woman with guns, the woman who was about to unleash the blast, as well as the woman with the huge axe with ease. After that, Maya arrived, calling out to Fubuki. She reported that the Demon Defense Force seemed to be under attack in every region, including the dorms of the 3rd and 8th squads. Because of that, Fubuki realized that the ones who attacked her were assassins. Even so, she thought that no matter how the enemy attacked them, their elite soldiers would not be defeated, and in her mind, she told the 8 Thunder Gods that the battle is on. After a short while, Maya told her that they were already being overwhelmed by reports coming in from various locations. The assassin whom Fubuki had knocked down earlier stood up again, drawing their attention, and when they turned toward her, they saw her begin to transform into something resembling a muscular monster. Right after that, she immediately unleashed a massive number of tentacles, so Fubuki quickly shoved Maya aside to keep her from getting hit. Unfortunately, she herself was wrapped up by them instead, exposing her large melons and luscious shellfish. One of the smaller tentacles that had grown near her head even brushed against her cheek, but she did not let it linger. The moment she gripped her lance, she swung it forcefully in a wide arc around her body, allowing her to break free from that awkward position. She carefully observed the female assassin, who had now completely turned into an abomination. Maya shuddered in fear at the sight of a human transforming into a Shuki, while Fubuki commented that so these were the new soldiers of the 8 Thunder Gods. While that was happening, the scene shifted back to the confrontation between Konomi and Emma against Yumeji. The companion of Yumeji whom they had knocked down earlier stood up again, catching Konomi's attention, and she could not believe that she was still able to move. Yumeji seized this chance and rushed forward, but her eyes suddenly widened, and she quickly stopped herself from charging, which confused Konomi. Unexpectedly, Yuki arrived in his slave form and landed a solid punch straight into the face of the devotee behind Konomi, sending her flying and crashing hard onto the ground. It turned out that Yuki, Kyoka, and Ryu arrived, and Konomi thanked them for the backup they provided. In Yumeji's mind, she recalled the moment when Konomi tied her hair and thought that she might have pressed some kind of emergency buzzer or something when she did that. She questioned how they had arrived so quickly, then commented that it had been quite a long time since she had last seen Kyoka, which startled Kyoka when she noticed her. Kyoka asked what her purpose was in attacking the Demon Defense Force, to which Yumeji merely commented that it felt very familiar, then asked how long they had been planning to continue Kyoka's mentor act. Yumeji's voice suddenly changed, and even her face and eyes seemed to transform into those of a wild beast as she declared that she now possessed the power of the 8 Thunder Gods. Kyoka was utterly shocked when she saw Yumeji give them a glimpse of that power, while Ryu coldly asked whether this was her revenge for losing her position as commander to Kyoka. Yumeji agreed as she flicked away the cigarette she had been smoking. She said that she would destroy Kyoka at her very best, and the cigarette she tossed aside suddenly became wrapped in electricity. Kyoka closed her eyes upon hearing that and began walking toward her, saying that Yumeji was now her opponent. She declared that she would fight her the way she wanted, but that they would do it in Mado. Yumeji began to float, and as she did, she said there was no need for them to go there anymore. Instead, she suggested they take the battle to the mountains so they would not have to worry about civilians. Yumeji flew toward a nearby mountain in the area, and as Kyoka watched her leave, she thought inwardly that she had always wondered what Yumeji had been up to after she quit. Before heading to the mountain, Ryu informed them that they had received news that the Demon Defense Force was currently being attacked simultaneously on multiple fronts. They could presume that Yumeji was involved as well, and that it was most likely the work of the 8 Thunder Gods. Kyoka told them that they would defeat Yumeji first, and then provide backup to those under attack, to which Yuki agreed, responding with a firm Roger. Before long, the police arrived at the area, and when Konomi noticed them, she told Emma to go with them. The two friends exchanged looks, then performed some kind of special greeting or farewell as Emma told Konomi to defeat that menace, to which Konomi replied that she would take care of it. After that, the scene shifted to Yumeji as she continued flying toward the mountain. She glanced downward and saw the members of the Demon Defense Force already running after her. She let out a creepy grin while doing so, thinking inwardly that it looked like all the prey she could ever ask for had gathered right there. She then pulled out several Shuki cards and 4 paper talismans and dropped them onto the ground while flying. Shuki began emerging from the cards, and as the talismans fell, she threw some kind of pins at them, causing the talismans to stick firmly instead of being blown away. She descended right in front of Yuki and the others, and as she stared at them, she widened her eyes, now bearing beast-like pupils, and that alone sent Kyoka tumbling from her position behind Yuki. Yuki grew worried when that happened, but Kyoka managed to maneuver herself properly and land safely on her feet, saying that she was fine. Inwardly, Kyoka noted that Yumeji's ability output had increased and wondered if it was because of the power of the gods. Yumeji suddenly commented that their position there was perfect, then pointed and snapped her fingers, activating the 4 talismans she had planted on the ground. Their surroundings began to glow, and in an instant, a massive electric cube enveloped them, which Yumeji called the Violet Thunder Barrier. Konomi and Yuki were stunned by the barrier she had erected, and it appeared that Yumeji had separated the two of them from Kyoka and Ryu. In Yuki's mind, he immediately recalled how Kyoka had once saved him using a barrier, and he noted inwardly that it was similar to what the Demon Defense Force used. Kyoka tried slashing the barrier, but the attack simply bounced back, prompting her to comment on how tough it was. Yumeji explained that it was a new prototype created by the 8 Thunder Gods and said that they would not be able to help each other for a while. With glaring eyes and a twisted grin, she added that Kyoka should watch as she butchered her slave and sister pupil, which made Kyoka shout in fury, asking if she had truly fallen that far. 3 Shuki that had been released earlier emerged behind Kyoka and Ryu, causing Kyoka to turn toward them. Yumeji told her to take out her anger on the Shuki, which only irritated her further. Ryu noticed this and told her to calm down. She then invited her to finish the fight quickly and find a way to take down the barrier, bringing her hands together in a firm, prayer-like gesture. She activated her ability, White Mausoleum, and her entire body began to glow as she slowly spread her hands apart. Kyoka briefly wondered why she had chosen to use white, but she quickly understood what she intended to do. A large traditional gate appeared to the right of Ryu, and its doors slowly began to open. When the gate fully opened, an elderly man who looked like a samurai master stepped out. The 3 Shuki behind them rushed toward the old man, and in response, he swiftly unsheathed his katana. It seemed as if he passed straight through all 3 of them, and by the time his blade had returned to its sheath, the attack was already over. Because of the sheer speed of his strike, all 3 Shuki were simultaneously split vertically without any difficulty. On Ryu's side, she delivered a powerful palm strike to a Shuki's face, shattering it, and sending the body crashing into another Shuki. Kyoka praised her, commenting that she was truly amazing as always. Ryu then struck a back-to-back pose with the elderly samurai who had emerged from the gate and said that she felt fired up whenever she fought beside her husband, revealing that the samurai was her spouse. It was further explained that Ryu's ability, White Mausoleum, places a deceased individual under the command of the user and strengthens them, while also strengthening the user as long as the ability remains active. On Yuki's side, he punched the Shuki he was facing straight in the face, but when he did, it did not go down so easily, which immediately caught his attention. It turned to look at him and grinned, making him comment inwardly that these Shuki were clearly solidly enhanced. While that was happening, another Shuki rushed toward Konomi as she was facing Yumeji, so she prepared herself to confront it. Yumeji merely smiled as the Shuki charged, and at that moment, Konomi was shocked when she tried to attack, only to realize that she could not move even a little. With growing concern, she thought that this must be the enemy's ability. Her mind flashed back to her conversation with Kyoka while they were running through the mountains, where Kyoka had explained to them that, in simple terms, Yumeji's ability was a type of telekinesis called Tyrant's Edict Imperium, and since it was brain-based, it could be resisted if one had sufficient willpower. Konomi's eyes widened as she remembered that, and because of it, she clenched her teeth and focused. Before long, she managed to shatter her immobilization through sheer willpower. Because of that, before the Shuki could even get close to her, she countered it with a tiger claw, easily destroying its body. Yumeji commented at that, saying that so she was able to break through a light binding after all. Konomi then told Yuki that she would leave the Shuki to him, and as Yuki continued fending them off, he responded to her with a firm Roger. She charged at Yumeji after that, and Yumeji did the same in response. They met in the middle, stopping each other's charging attacks with their arms and legs. They tried to follow up simultaneously, but only managed to block one another again. As Yumeji kept up with her in a flurry of attacks, she said that she would show her the power bestowed upon her by the gods. Watching the exchange between the two from the other side of the barrier, Ryu commented inwardly that Yumeji had truly become stronger, since she was able to hold her own against Konomi. However, she added that Konomi's techniques should not be underestimated either. After dodging Yumeji's punch, Konomi used a powerful palm strike that sent her flying when it connected with her body. While Yumeji was still being blown back, Konomi immediately rushed forward to follow up, but something from the sky caught her attention. When she looked up, she saw something rapidly falling. Because of that, she stopped herself and dodged it, revealing that it was a kind of staff when it pierced into the ground. Yumeji immediately picked it up, and while holding it, she said that now the real battle was beginning. In Konomi's mind, she said that it did not matter even if she now had a weapon, as she threw a fast left punch. However, Yumeji managed to press her staff against Konomi's wrist before the punch could reach her, then used her ability Electric Discharge, releasing a powerful electric shock throughout Konomi's entire body. Konomi was forced back by that counter, her whole body taking damage, but Yumeji's attack did not end there. She used Tyrant's Edict Imperium on her again while saying that something strong was coming. Her ability immediately enveloped Konomi's body, and it began forcibly twisting her head, which caught her attention. She noticed that her neck was twisting on its own, slowly starting to crack, and with mounting fear, she realized that she could not break free from the telekinesis. In Yumeji's mind, she continued to will Konomi's neck to twist further as she gestured with her hand to make it happen, while Konomi's face showed her desperate effort to stop it. Despite being in that bind, Konomi came up with an idea, and when she managed to move her foot just a little, she jumped and rotated her entire body, allowing her head to rotate along with it. Because of that, she broke free from Yumeji's telekinesis, prompting Yumeji to comment in amazement that she was still able to move, noting that she had done that to avoid having her neck twisted. Konomi stood up weakly afterward and asked if that was the power of the gods. Yumeji replied that she was right and informed her that she had gained the ability to generate electricity and that the staff she was holding, named Kakura, was a weapon of the gods that augmented her electrical output. She pointed out that with just one strike from it, a martial artist like her would be finished, but Konomi did not back down and shouted that she was not done yet. She took up a stance, and an extraordinary aura began to pour out from her body as she used another technique, the output-boosting Golden Shinigwan Beast power, which greatly surprised Yumeji. After powering up, Konomi used her Move Tiger Claw Strike, sending a crescent-shaped projectile attack, flying toward Yumeji. Yumeji tried to block it, but it still managed to graze her in several parts of her body. Shocked, Yumeji commented inwardly that she was able to extend her aura. She observed Konomi carefully afterward and added that there was a but to it, then used her telekinetic powers on the two trees around them. As she lifted them up, she said that now that she had seen what Konomi's martial arts could do, she had her number, and that her aura attacks would no longer work on her. Konomi twitched when she heard that, while Ryu, who was watching them, commented inwardly that this was bad. Yumeji hurled the trees toward Konomi while shouting for her to take it, and Konomi immediately assumed a stance, thinking that she would counter them. She unleashed another Tiger Claw Strike, slicing the trees apart, while Yumeji used the trees as a diversion. When Yumeji emerged from the grove, Konomi managed to notice her and immediately tried to hit her with Tiger Crunch Fist, but Yumeji twisted her body and narrowly dodged the attack by a hair's breadth, which completely shocked Konomi. As a counter, Yumeji struck Konomi with her telekinetic powers, sending her flying hard and slamming her body into the tree behind her. Kyoka shouted Konomi's name in alarm when she saw that, while Yumeji lit another cigarette using her electricity and smugly pointed out that she had already figured Konomi out, the concern clearly visible on Konomi's face. In the situation involving her companions, Yuki, Ryu, and Kyoka continued to fend off every Shuki that charged at them. As Konomi knelt on the ground after taking a severe beating, Yumeji told her that, as recognition for her skills, she would grant her a chance to live. She urged Konomi to become a servant of the gods, but despite being completely out of breath, Konomi said that she truly thought she would ever do such a thing. Yumeji exhaled the smoke she had drawn in earlier and began to explain that back when she was still part of the Demon Defense Force, she worked with the goal of becoming Supreme Commander, and that she had desired the authority that came with that position. However, she said that she had been rough with her subordinates. She had a conflict with Kyoka, and everything was lost because of it. She said that she lost her way after that happened, until a god appeared right before her. Thunder then struck her body, and she said that once she became a devotee of the divine, she obtained great power with no effort at all. With a creepy look directed at Konomi, she added that surpassing humans felt incredibly good and urged her to try it for herself. Konomi replied that she did not need that kind of shady power, causing Yumeji's gaze to suddenly turn repulsed. Yumeji said that the way of the warrior is walked one step at a time. She added that their era was one of working smarter, not harder, and that Konomi would be laughed at for being so old-fashioned. Konomi responded while slowly standing up that she did not care what other people thought of her. She took a stance as if about to charge and declared that this was the path she had chosen. Yumeji grinned at that and rushed forward, asking if that was really the case. And if so, then Konomi should die. Konomi raised her right leg like a tail and named this stance Golden Shin-Ikwan Beast Power Scorpion. Yumeji's eyes widened in surprise when she saw the resemblance to a scorpion, as Konomi began unleashing kicks using that stance. Because of that, wavy projectiles emerged and flew toward Yumeji, who tried to block them with her staff. But the power behind Konomi's attacks was evident as Yumeji was unable to stop them easily. Yumeji commented inwardly that so Konomi did not only have tiger moves. She tried to use her powers on her, but to her surprise, Konomi managed to dodge them, causing the attack to hit a tree instead, which completely shocked her as she saw Konomi had avoided her telekinesis, while Konomi thought inwardly that she had figured out Yumeji's moves as well. Konomi countered her telekinesis and forcefully kicked both of her legs like a scorpion's tail, releasing a cross-shaped crescent strike that she called Scarlet Stinger. Yumeji attempted to block it with her staff, but due to the sheer force of the attack, it shattered into pieces, greatly shocking her. Konomi's assault did not end there, as she formed her hands into another stance, taking on Golden Shin-Ikwan Beast Power Snake, preparing her hands like a striking serpent. She used Mighty Snapping Viper on Yumeji, raining down countless strikes on her and forcing her onto the defensive as she struggled to block them all. In her mind, Yumeji thought that it was still the same kind of ability, and that if she considered the animals Konomi was imitating, she should be able to figure out a pattern. After that, Konomi slowly clenched her hands into fists and shifted into Golden Shin-Ikwan Beast Power Slave, mimicking Yuki's movements in his slave form. Yumeji was completely shocked and shouted that apparently anything was possible now. Konomi charged at her and used a slave-shaped projectile, but Yumeji managed to evade it by jumping away. Yumeji began flying and thought she would finish this using telekinesis from above, but when she looked back at Konomi, she saw her already prepared to launch an attack, which startled her. Konomi used Golden Shin-Ikwan Beast Power Pterosaur, allowing her to fly and chase after Yumeji. Utter shock and fear were visible on Yumeji's face when she saw that, and with the massive aura of her flying dinosaur form, Konomi slammed into Yumeji, severely damaging her and sending her crashing to the ground. Meanwhile, as Ryu fought the Shuki alongside her spouse, she showed pride in Konomi, pointing out that she was able to utilize Shin-Ikwan with any kind of animal. She added that Konomi was a tough child who would not be easily defeated. She had worried that Konomi was focusing too much on tiger forms since they were her favorite, but she had managed to correct herself and use other animals. She utilized her abilities far better when she followed her own instincts rather than being directed by others. When Yumeji crashed to the ground, she struggled to stand while clutching her injured arm. She screamed in rage that she would annihilate Konomi using her power at full blast, as her body suddenly began to bulge with muscles and even sprouted a tail. It was shown that Yumeji's lower half had transformed into that of a monstrous being, with eyes appearing in various places, as she declared this to be the true power of the gods. Konomi did not falter and immediately charged at her using Golden Shin-Ikwan Beast Power Ape. Her knee struck Yumeji's face solidly, but it seemed to have no effect as Yumeji immediately countered with a punch that tore through Konomi's entire body, sending her flying and making her spit out blood. Konomi fell to the ground from that blow, and Yumeji pointed out that brute force alone would not be enough to bring her down in this form. Now fully resembling a monster, Yumeji added that Konomi was nothing more than a small fledgling and would never reach her level, while Konomi simply stared back at her with unwavering perseverance on her face. Kyoka shouted at her to take Konomi's chains, causing Konomi to immediately turn toward her, while Yumeji was confused about what she intended to do. In Kyoka's mind, she thought that the slave form the two of them could create might be able to turn the situation around. Yuki immediately rushed to Konomi and gestured toward his neck for her to take hold. Konomi quickly ran toward him and grabbed the chains on his collar, and at that moment, an extraordinary beam of energy enveloped them both. After that, Yuki transformed into a striking piece of armor that enveloped Konomi's body, and this form was called Eternal Chain's Supreme Garb. Yuki then spoke to her telepathically, telling her that he would fight alongside her and instructing her to unleash her moves with all of her might, to which Konomi shouted that she understood. Kyoka was shocked when Yuki became armor, and she commented inwardly that he could transform in such a way as well. Despite the flashiness of this transformation, Yumeji merely ridiculed it, sarcastically saying that it was no big deal, before immediately using her telekinetic powers. However, before it could reach Konomi, she suddenly vanished from Yumeji's sight with astonishing speed. She instantly appeared behind her and skidded her feet to stop herself, then assumed the stance Golden Shingyuan Beast Power Yellow Dragon. She used the move Dragon Fang Assault, unleashing a combo of consecutive kicks that traveled from Yumeji's lower body all the way up to her chin. Yumeji's eyes widened in shock at that, while Konomi happily thought that her strength, combined with Yuki's power, was proving effective. Yumeji flew into a rage and shouted about her audacity, then sent out her telekinetic powers again, this time through the eyes on her lower body, but Konomi easily swerved to evade them. Fuming that she still could not land a hit, Yumeji began using every single eye surrounding her body and unleashed omnidirectional telekinesis. Because of that overwhelming attack, Konomi was finally caught by the telekinetic power, making her shout that she had been caught at last. Konomi grew alarmed when she found herself unable to move again, while Yumeji slowly drew her closer to her body, calling out to Kyoka and telling her to watch her sister's defeat. On Yuki's side, acting as Konomi's armor, he commented inwardly that Yumeji's telekinesis was only restraining Konomi, and that he himself could still move. Because of that, he immediately extended his head, which served as Konomi's breastplate, and bit into Yumeji's body. Yumeji screamed in irritation at Yuki, and because of that attack, she lost focus on maintaining her power over Konomi, allowing Konomi to move again and pull herself away from Yumeji's grasp. Upon landing, Konomi immediately assumed another stance and once again took up Golden Shingyuan Beast Power Tiger, then charged forward, thinking that it was time to finish this, while Yumeji cursed in frustration as her telekinesis shattered. Konomi reached Yumeji's head and struck it with a tiger claw, then followed up with a barrage of strikes across her entire body, the damage to Yumeji clearly visible. Konomi's assault did not end there, and as a finisher, she used Tiger Crunch Fist, which landed solidly across Yumeji's entire body. The sheer force of it caused a massive blast to erupt behind her that Yumeji's body was sent flying by that tremendous attack, her world visibly shaken, and as a result, she vomited a large amount of blood. Yumeji's body collapsed after that, while Konomi remained in her stance, still ready to fight. However, the armor began to disintegrate, and before long, Yuki's body glowed as the eternal chains shattered. Yuki returned to his normal form, and when he did, he was mirroring Konomi's stance perfectly. Konomi was surprised when the transformation wore off, while Yuki commented that it seemed stronger, but did not last very long. Unfortunately, a Shuki suddenly rushed toward the two of them, causing Yuki to step in front of Konomi and shout for her to be careful. However, the Shuki's head was suddenly cleanly sliced off vertically, and as its body split apart, it was revealed that Ryu's spouse was the one who had done it. They had managed to break the barrier, and afterward, Ryu apologized for being late, while Kyoka praised them, saying they had done a job well done. Kyoka and Yuki exchanged glances, and Kyoka immediately tried to tell her master about the upcoming reward, but Ryu already knew and said she would take care of the surrounding Shuki. Konomi watched Kyoka, and after she finished speaking with Ryu, Kyoka told Konomi that she also needed to join the reward since she had borrowed Yuki, to which Konomi energetically replied of course, pointing out that they had saved her big time. Because of all the chatter, Ryu shouted at them to hurry up and informed them that Yumeji was gone. When they looked to where she had been lying earlier, Konomi was utterly shocked to see that she was no longer there, while Kyoka commented that she must have escaped while they were not looking. Kyoka then immediately invited Yuki to finish the reward, and Yuki could only agree. She stepped closer and kissed Yuki, and as she did, Konomi watched them closely. Konomi's eyes sparkled at the sight, and she commented inwardly that her senior sister was continuously kissing Yuki without even pausing for breath. Her heart began to pound, and she started to blush, which Kyoka noticed as she stared at her intensely. Kyoka broke the kiss and brushed aside Yuki's collar, startling him. She began sucking on Yuki's neck, and as it happened, Yuki flushed deeply and commented that she was incredibly passionate.
Kiss me!
His body began to tremble from flusteredness, while Konomi continued to watch. When Kyoka removed her lips from Yuki's neck, it left a hickey, and once it was over, Yuki was finally able to move freely again. Kyoka immediately ran after Ryu and informed her that she would chase Yumeji and that they would not let her escape, while Yuki told her to be careful. Yuki and Konomi were left behind, but before long, Konomi gathered her courage and called out to Yuki, then said that she would give him a reward as well, her eyes filled with curiosity. Konomi then took Yuki's hand and said, with a slight blush on her face, that it seemed her reward for this would be a date, which left Yuki confused about what she meant. As that was happening, they turned toward Ryu's husband as he knocked down a shuki using clean, rapid slashes to its face, arms, and body. When blood sprayed from the shuki's sliced body, the two of them were left speechless, and Konomi commented that wouldn't a date be a bit difficult under these circumstances. Ryu then took down another shuki behind them by forcefully stomping its face into the ground, telling them not to worry, which caught them by surprise. She told them to leave the shuki to her and her husband and to focus on their reward instead. Yuki reasoned that still, they were way too deep in the mountains for a date, prompting Ryu to ask what he was talking about. While watching her husband effortlessly cut down hordes of shuki, Ryu pointed out that if the two of them could have a nice, enjoyable conversation together, then that alone already counted as a date. Yuki blushed at the thought, then took Konomi's hand and invited her to take a walk, which Konomi agreed to. Ryu watched them walk away, and as they made their way through the mountains, Yuki apologized about it, only for Konomi to tell her not to be sorry. She explained that when she wore Yuki as armor, she felt so warm, making Yuki blush. Konomi then asked Yuki if he had ever gone on a date back when he was still in high school, to which Yuki shyly replied that he had not even once. Konomi said that if that was the case, then they were the same, prompting Yuki to comment that he had figured Konomi must have been popular. Konomi explained that it was because everyone knew her identity as the commander of the Demon Defense Force First Squad, which made Yuki realize something and say that in that case, the boys must have been scared of her. Yuki then asked Konomi why she had joined the Demon Defense Force, causing Konomi to look up at the sky as she began recalling an incident. She told Yuki that when she was still in elementary school, a shuki appeared while she was walking home. While her two companions were frozen in fear, already sitting on the ground, she stood up to face the shuki and bravely confronted it with a small piece of wood. Despite the terrifying appearance of the monster before her, she steeled herself and soon tried to strike it with the wood she was holding, but before it could land, Ryu arrived and easily sent the shuki flying with a kick to the face. Ryu grinned when she saw her and commented that she was a brave girl, while Konomi herself was left in awe of what she had witnessed. Yuki then said that meant Ryu had scouted her, which Konomi confirmed. Yuki happily commented that it was amazing that she had already become a commander while still in high school, to which Konomi replied that she still had a long way to go. She said that the way of the warrior was walked one step at a time, but she had ended up relying on Yuki's strength, pointing out again that she still had a long path ahead of her. Yuki stared at her, then suddenly raised her hand and shouted that she would become even stronger, saying that he truly knew it would happen. Konomi laughed at that and thanked Yuki for his words. As they talked, Ryu's husband continued cutting down hordes of shuki with his extraordinary sword skills, leaving Yuki speechless as he commented that the surroundings felt so lively, which Konomi agreed with as they heard the dying roars of the shuki. Because of that, Yuki decided to invite Konomi to use their imagination and asked what she envisioned when she thought of a date. Konomi thought for a moment and said that she imagined studying together in a library, prompting Yuki to comment that she was very diligent. Konomi explained that it was because exam day was approaching, then asked Yuki what he imagined. Yuki replied that he had long wanted to go to karaoke after school, making Konomi happily say that she really loved singing with other people. She also suggested that a movie date would be fun, saying that she liked action and kung fu movies, which Konomi said she liked as well. And, Yuki added, he knew it was pretty cliché, but he also imagined enjoying the night lights while standing on a bridge, which intrigued Konomi and made her say that she liked that idea too. Yuki then heard the sound of the wind, noticing that the surroundings had suddenly gone quiet. Konomi began undoing the tie in her hair while calling Yuki's name, letting her hair down. She asked Yuki if he could put his arm around her, which made Yuki ask if it was like when he had been her armor, all while feeling his heart pounding strongly. Yuki slowly placed his arms around Konomi's body, giving her a gentle back hug with his hands resting above Konomi's chest. Konomi carefully felt the embrace, commenting inwardly that just as she thought, Yuki really was warm. She then turned to look at Yuki and slowly brought her face closer while calling his name. Before long, their lips met, and as she experienced this sweet sensation, Konomi commented inwardly that so this was what a kiss felt like. She recalled the feeling of wearing Yuki as armor in his slave form, and as it continued, she thought inwardly that her body was gradually heating up, as if she and Yuki were pressed skin to skin. After the kiss, her heart raced faster and her cheeks flushed deeply. She noticed the hiki kyoka had left on Yuki's neck earlier, and her eyes widened as she remembered it. She squinted her eyes after that and began to think that even though she had said she would cheer on her senior sister, she could not help but enjoy the sweetness of kissing Yuki. Because of that, she apologized as she fully clasped her body against Yuki's. While that was happening, on Kyoka's side, she was shown continuing to chase the missing Yumeji. Elsewhere in the mountains, Yumeji was also shown, bloodied, injured, and weakly walking. When she leaned against a tree, she irritably muttered, "What a mess." In the next scene, we move to the hideout of the 8 Thunder Gods, where Naruhime is nonchalantly bathing beneath a small waterfall. When she opened her eyes, she immediately got dressed and hurriedly ran toward another room. There, she saw Jakuan staring into a circular mirror she had erected. Jakuan asked whether she was heading to the ritual, to which Naruhime shouted loudly that she was, saying it was meant to hasten the arrival of the day of purification. Naruhime then continued shouting as she asked whether the devotees of the divine had already launched their attack, causing Jakuan to fall silent and ask her to lower her volume. Jakuan re-erected the circular mirror and answered her question, saying that they had already begun. Naruhime then asked whether Jakuan's experimentations to turn humans into Shuki were producing results, to which Jakuan responded with a question of her own, asking whether in the end those humans would remain human or whether they would surpass their humanity, adding that she could not wait to find out. After that, the scene shifted to the 7th Squad dorm, inside Himari's room. There, as she lay on her bed half asleep, the thought entered her mind that she had not trained with Yuki lately. She thought that taking a long break might result in accumulated tension that could lead to an indecent reward, as she imagined what might actually happen. That would be bad, she commented to herself as she began to blush at the thought. She added, while feeling heat spread through her body, that more than anything, she needed to train to master her ability. Suddenly, Nei burst open the door to her room together with Shushu and immediately told her that they were in a crisis, causing Himari to scream in shock and embarrassment. Shushu informed her that they were currently being attacked by an army of Shuki, pointing out that they were positioned in the reverse Ogre Gate direction, so it was not unusual. However, Nei added that the other squads were also under attack. The 3rd, the 9th, and even the 6th and 2nd squads all had armies of Shuki at their doors. Shushu added that it was clearly a coordinated attack, commenting on how thrilling it was, to which Himari shouted with determination that she was fine with it and that she would show them the fruits of her training. After that, the scene shifted to the vicinity of the 6th Squad dorm, where Tenko was already standing, facing the Shuki that had rushed in. She prepared her hands and immediately used a Mei no Motori. As her warp burst open above them, the Shuki were instantly sucked inside without any difficulty. While that was happening, on Yachiho's side, she knocked down several devotees of the divine. She said that she did not know who they were, but they should not think they could win against a time manipulator. However, to her surprise, one devotee stood up again behind her and sprouted tentacles similar to the ones Fubuki had fought, sending them toward her. Fortunately, Sahara arrived and punched the devotee while shouting for her to be careful. She then told Yakumo that she needed to finish the job, leaving Yakumo momentarily speechless. While that was happening, a scope locked directly onto Yakumo, and the one doing it commented inwardly that she could not believe they had appeared so quickly. It turned out she was positioned on a distant cliff, already prepared to pull the trigger of her sniper rifle. She grinned and called Yakumo and the others foolish targets, saying she would finish them with her deadline. The power was then explained. The longer this devotee observed her target, the greater the power and homing ability of her bullet would become. However, to the devotee's surprise, a warp opened behind her and Tinka appeared, commenting that she knew she would find something there, which shocked her. Tinka tapped the woman on the back and immediately entered her warp again. The next warp opened above Yachiho and Sahara, and Tinka emerged while holding the sniper devotee. She immediately shouted at Sahara to follow up, and Sahara instantly released her aura and prepared herself. The devotee was shocked by this turn of events and decided to transform into a Shuki, but in the middle of her transformation, she was struck by powerful kicks from Tinka and Sahara from opposite directions, causing her body to spin repeatedly before slamming into the ground. After landing, the devotee, her face bruised, turned toward Tinka and asked in disbelief whether she had felt her gaze from that distance. Tinka replied that it seemed she had become more sensitive, then said with a glowing smile that she would understand it if she ever fell in love, leaving the devotee speechless. Sahara then spotted something in the distance and let out an "oh," catching Tinka's attention. What she saw was a large number of incoming enemies. Tinka told Yakumo and Sahara that she wanted to provide backup for the others, so they should finish things here as quickly as possible, to which the two responded with a firm Roger. In her mind, Tinka thought that these enemies were clearly a different breed from her sister-in-law and her friends, and she inwardly declared that she would slaughter them without restraint. While that was happening, the scene shifted to the outskirts of the second squad dorm, where Mira's clones were beating down hordes of Shuki. From the rooftop of their dorm, as Megumi waved the scarlet flag, she could not believe the idea that there were Shuki who were Peach users. Mira explained that her clones were gradually getting used to their abilities and that they would attack as soon as everything was confirmed. Megumi asked whether she thought this was connected to the earlier terrorist attack, to which Mira replied that she felt the 8 Thunder Gods were involved, prompting Megumi to add that in that case, it had to be them. Megumi asked again, wanting to know whether they were trying to manipulate and deceive them into fighting among themselves, to which Mira replied that they had no choice but to capture them and find out the truth that way. As Mira looked at the reports on her phone showing that all the other squads were currently engaged in battle, she commented inwardly that the other squads were under attack as well, then thought of Yuki and wished that he would not be hurt. After that, we returned to the mountains where Yuki was. As Yumeji rested beside a tree, something caught her attention, and it turned out to be Kyoka, who had found her. Kyoka told her that she was taking her in, prompting the injured Yumeji to ask whether she meant to the Omu Bureau. After that, we returned to the past, back when Kyoka was first introducing herself to Yumeji, and she told her that her dream was the annihilation of all Shuki. Yumeji replied that she liked the look in Kyoka's eyes, and we can see that she was accompanied by another member of the 7th squad at the time, a girl with a soft appearance and braided hair. Then Yumeji threw something to Kyoka, which turned out to be a lighter, and told her that it was a gift to commemorate her joining the squad, so she should take good care of it. Kyoka replied that she was not old enough to smoke yet, but Yumeji said that it was not for that. She said it was a tool for bonding with her, and as she said that, she placed a cigarette in her mouth. When Kyoka saw that, she stepped closer to Yumeji and lit the cigarette for her. Kyoka smiled afterward, while Yumeji said that in the 7th squad, it was like an all-you-can-hunt Shuki buffet because there were so many Shuki constantly appearing. She added that she would train Kyoka, so Kyoka should take revenge as much as she wanted, and while saying that, she rubbed Kyoka's head, prompting her to thank her. After that, we moved to an area filled with Shuki, where Kyoka was riding one of them, using it as her slave. She was cutting down other Shuki with her sword while telling them that it was time to submit. Then we see the member who had been with Yumeji earlier, whose name was Haruno Kuwei, using her Haruno Shikigami Origami, a skill where she controlled origami paper cranes surrounded by spheres of light. She threw them at the Shuki, punching holes through their bodies, and Yumeji smiled as she watched all of it. Sometime later, the 7th squad was in a bathhouse when Kyoka was promoted to second in command, and she could hardly believe it. Yumeji said it was true, since the higher-ups had accepted her recommendation, while Haruno commented that she liked Kyoka as second in command. Yumeji added that Mado was a good place, because even a recruit could become second in command as long as they killed a lot of Shuki. She also mentioned that she used to live in a ditch, yet still became a squad commander. Kyoka smiled, while Yumeji told her to keep going strong, and Kyoka replied with a yes ma'am. In the next scene, Yumeji was standing around in a hallway, looking at a piece of paper. She thought that since Nei had joined, their Shuki kill count had increased even more. Because of that, they now had the highest number of kills among all squads that month. She also thought that she might even aim for a position higher than commander, meaning supreme commander. Then suddenly, someone called out to her, and it was Kyoka. She reported that Haruno had collapsed from overusing her ability, and that Nei and the others were getting exhausted as well. She asked Yumeji to return to their previous pace because the squad was suffering. However, Yumeji said that they would not be able to beat the numbers of the other squads if they did that, and that their job was to protect people and kill Shuki, so Kyoka should get herself together. Kyoka still insisted, saying that she would not back down at that moment. Because of that, Yumeji called her persistent and challenged her to a fight using brute strength, saying that this was the 7th Squad's way. Kyoka was shocked, and Yumeji added that whoever lost would leave the Demon Defense Force without complaint, thinking that would silence Kyoka. But to her surprise, Kyoka accepted the challenge, leaving her stunned, and before she could say anything, Kyoka told her that she would stop her before everyone got hurt. After that, we returned to the present, and Yumeji said that the reason she lost to Kyoka back then was because she did not truly want to kill her, since she was half-hearted. Kyoka replied that the biggest reason for Yumeji's defeat was her habit of underestimating others. That seemed to strike a nerve, and Kyoka added that Konomi was a first-year high school student, yet her potential was limitless. She had even grown stronger in the middle of a battle. Yumeji agreed with that and admitted that even when she fully intended to kill her, she still lost. Kyoka then said that her former commander had abandoned her humanity, so she would not turn her over to the police, but instead take her to Mado. Yumeji replied that she had information about the 8 Thunder Gods, such as the location of their hideout. She said she would tell Kyoka, so Kyoka should treat her properly. Kyoka called that a shameful way to cling to life, but she wanted that information. As she said that, Kyoka stepped closer to Yumeji, who told her not to come any closer, because she would get caught up in it. Kyoka wondered what she meant, so Yumeji explained, trembling slightly, that she knows that soon the wrath of the gods would be poured onto her. She told Kyoka to heal her and save her life. Kyoka just looked at her when she heard that, and she asked Yumeji why she sided with gods like that, and pointed out that they said they wanted to destroy humanity. Yumeji let out a heavy sigh, before saying that no one in the world ever looked at her, so she did not look at the world either, and that was all there was to it. Then she placed a cigarette in her mouth, and sparks appeared. She was irritated because she could barely move, but suddenly Kyoka lit her cigarette for her. Yumeji was shocked when she saw that, because the lighter Kyoka used was the one she had given her long ago. She did not know what to say, while Kyoka said that she had always been looking at her. That was the reason she had scolded Yumeji so much. Yumeji was even more surprised to hear that, but it seemed to give her a sense of peace. Then she let out a small laugh and spat out the cigarette, and at that moment, her body floated into the air and seemed to have exploded from the inside, forming a symbol. Kyoka was utterly shocked by the sight, and realized that this was probably the wrath of the gods. Yumeji's almost lifeless, blood-soaked body collapsed onto the floor afterward, and Kyoka picked her up, saying that she used to live in a ditch, so she should show her the will to live. As she said that, she stabbed her with the handle of her sword. Yumeji coughed up blood, and Kyoka realized that her telekinesis had activated. She could hardly believe that Yumeji could do that to her own body, forcibly keeping her organs alive. She realized that she could not wait for the medical team to arrive, and thought that they'll probably transport her to the Onii Bureau. She added that she'll get information on the 8 Thunder Gods and the inner workings of the Onii Bureau from her, and declared that she won't let her die. In the next scene, we move to the dorm of the Demon Defense Force 3rd Squad, where 3 of its members are already unconscious. One is sitting while slumped against the wall, another is face down on the floor, and one is lying outside the dorm. The only one left standing is their commander, Belle Tsukiyono, who is completely out of breath, her face drenched in sweat, and clearly terrified. This is because standing before her are 3 unusual Shuki, one that can fly, one with a humanoid body and horns, and one with an extremely large and bulky body. The horned one said that most abilities are powerless in the face of the divine, and that the three of them sisters are the strongest among the devotees of the divine. The large-bodied devotee adds that the barrier has already been destroyed, leaving only the commander, Belle. At that moment, Belle fires a handgun at her enemy, but the devotee only smiles, as the bullets have no effect at all, only ricocheting off its body. Belle is shocked that her anti-Shuki bullets do not work, while the devotee she shot explains that her body repels all attacks. Belle then drops her gun and asks the repelling body devotee if she can also repel the attack mode of her laughing god of longevity Canopus, in which she points her hand at the repelling body devotee. After that skill, a glowing light appeared on the abdomen of the winged devotee, which causes the sibling with the repelling body to react in confusion. The horned devotee shouts that they should take Belle down from a safe distance, and the winged devotee immediately flies away with a single flap of the wing. Belle follows after her, knowing that her skill will not work if her target is too far away. At the same time, the winged devotee opened her mouth and released her life liquefier attack, expelling what looked like an acidic liquid. Belle was utterly shocked by the sight, and when the life liquefier struck her position, the entire area of effect was melted, filling the surroundings with smoke. The devotee with the repelling body was extremely happy, claiming that not even Belle's bones will remain after that attack. However, the winged devotee suddenly becomes alarmed and tells her siblings to wait, then pointing out something from the sky. There, they saw Supreme Commander Ren Yamashiro, who has saved Belle from the life liquefier attack. Belle is stunned by this, and when Ren looks at her, she immediately feels fear. After that, Ren turns her gaze back to the three devotee sisters, who ask why she is there. The horned devotee also asks what happened to the team attacking the Demon Defense Force headquarters, since their plan was to keep Ren busy there. As Ren descends to the ground, she calmly replies that that team has already been dealt with, leaving the three devotees in shock. The horned devotee had believed that specialists in stalling for time were sent to the headquarters, so she cannot believe they were eliminated already. Meanwhile, Ren sets Belle down on the ground and tells her that she had a bad feeling about the third squad, which is why she flew there, and that things turned out exactly as she expected. Belle apologizes, still visibly frightened, and Ren replies with a smile that she will punish her later, just as the winged devotee attacks her from behind. The winged devotee unleashes a divine speed strike attack, a stomp attack, but to her shock, Ren has already repositioned herself beside her and asks if that is what she calls divine speed. Using only momentum, Ren delivers a powerful kick that sends the winged devotee flying far away, even coughing up blood. Ren then activated her ability, remarking that the gods are surprisingly slow. The devotee with the repelling body sensed an incoming attack at that moment, and Ren moves like a footballer, performing a bicycle kick to launch a projectile kick toward the devotee. In response, the devotee activated her divine steel body skill to harden her defense and takes Ren's attack head-on. Even so, despite her reinforced body, Ren's attack pierces through the repelling body devotee, shattering her into pieces and slamming her violently into the ground. Even her head does not survive, breaking apart as well. The horned devotee then calls out to Ren, telling her that she has gone far enough. She adds that she is glad she kept one member of the third squad alive just in case something like this happened. As she says this, she lifts the squad member she is referring to and holds her at knife point with her sharp hands. Ren mockingly asks whether the horned devotee really thinks a hostage will work on her, calling it cute. The horned devotee and even the Demon Defense Force member was startled from her response. Then the ground suddenly started to rumble. From beneath her, a light suddenly appears, followed by a blast of light that separates the third squad member from her. That blast shoots straight into the sky, drawing her attention upward, and in the next instant, she is struck by a powerful boosted punch from Ren that nearly folds her entire body. Due to the strength and intensity Ren puts into that attack, the devotee crashes through several rocks before finally slamming into a rock wall. She screams in pain, and in an instant, Ren is already in front of her, who told her that she is so weak. It is then revealed that the Demon Defense Force has completely turned the tide against all the devotees of the Divine who launched attacks, and as this is mentioned, the massive crater in the wall left by Ren's attack is shown. In addition, it is revealed that filling in for the missing commanders, Ren Yamashiro and Tenka Izumo rushed to the battle scenes. The scene then shifts to the dorm, where Nei thanks Tenka for the backup. Tenka replies that, as usual, the 7th squad showed great courage, and nearby, there are what appear to be giant eggs, with Kaiko Atsuki standing guard over them. It is revealed that these eggs are from her ability, Cocoon of Vega Miracle Care. Soon after, people begin emerging from the cocoons. Yachiho comes out first, declaring that she is good as new, while Sahara says that is the result of Kaiko's ability. Himari also emerges, and she playfully shoves Shushu while telling her that she has grown stronger. Shushu replies that Himari has grown stronger too, and that she seems to have completely mastered her ability. Kaiko informs them that all 4 of them have made a full recovery. It is then revealed that although most squad members only suffered minor injuries, 3 members of the 3rd squad were seriously injured, dealing them a major blow. Because of this, their commander Bell is crying in a corner, overwhelmed by grief and by Supreme Commander Ren's words that she will be punished. Elsewhere, at the base of the 8 Thunder Gods, Shikoku says that since battles broke out in every area, she thought they would win 1 or 2, but they were completely outplayed by the Demon Defense Force. The one she is speaking to is Jakuan, who she comforts and says that despite the chaos, they still managed to accomplish their task, making it a success. Jakuan then asks what will happen next, and Shikoku replies that next, the 8 Thunder Gods themselves will take action, but they will not simply charge in recklessly. Jakuan realizes that this is a strategy meant to satisfy both the militant and cautious factions, while Shikoku adds that they will take down the commanders one by one, with certainty. In the next scene, we move to the Onii Bureau, and here they are examining a fallen devotee of the Divine, her body now lying completely lifeless. Ren remarked, "So that girl was no good either," to which the elderly woman beside her, the leader of the Onii Bureau, replied that unfortunately, that was indeed the case. She added that the attackers were equipped with a device that ruptured their bodies from the inside, and that she even thought the woman before them had arrived in time to be treated. But even though her body was healed, her consciousness never returned, and she simply wasted away. Her guess was that the seal on her forehead carried a curse-like effect. Ren asked whether the seal could be removed and whether the leader had tested abilities other than healing. The leader answered that even Tavara's ability to inject life force had failed. The seal reappeared immediately when removed, and even if the affected body part was excised, the seal manifested elsewhere. Because of that, Ren commented that it was a bothersome trick, one worthy of a god. She then mentioned that out of the 14 who were captured, the only survivor was Yumeji Shimomura, who was shown unconscious and on life support. Watching over her were another member of the Onii Bureau and Kyoka. At that moment, Ren arrived and asked about Yumeji's condition, slightly surprising Kyoka with her sudden appearance. The girl from the Onii Bureau answered that Yumeji was still unconscious but was holding on. Kyoka then took Yumeji's hand and told her that the Supreme Commander was already there, urging her to say what she knew. Of course, Yumeji did not respond, and Kyoka added that she should prove her usefulness and they should be able to save her. Yumeji still did not speak, but her hand began to twitch. This caught Ren's attention, as Yumeji's hand slowly started to move. It seemed she was writing something on Kyoka's hand, and the girl said that Yumeji was trying to say something. Ren immediately asked Kyoka what it was, and Kyoka replied that it was numbers. She listed them one by one, 3, 5, 1, 4, and 0, and Ren said those were coordinates. Ren then left the room, instructing Kyoka to stay with Yumeji and report anything new she learned. Kyoka nodded in response, while Ren ordered the Onii Bureau staff to keep Yumeji alive by every means necessary, and they answered yes as they bowed. In the next scene, we move to the human world, inside the office of the Prime Minister of Japan. Ren spoke with the Prime Minister and several members of her staff, and the Prime Minister said that, just as she expected, no one had died even though the Demon Defense Force was subjected to a full-scale attack. Ren reported that they also obtained information from a captured enemy, and declared that they would be eliminating the 8 Thunder Gods, then asked if that was all right. The two staff members did not know how to respond, sweating under Ren's intimidating presence. The Prime Minister said that if they could negotiate with the gods, it might be a chance to obtain more resources. One staff member immediately responded that no matter how much they tried to establish talks with the gods, they received no response. Another staff member with glasses added that it was even worse because the gods had explicitly stated that they intended to destroy humanity. The Prime Minister thought it over and said that they had no choice but to defeat the 8 thunder gods. She then stood together with her staff and bowed to Ren, telling her to do whatever she needed to do. Ren smiled, clearly satisfied with the Prime Minister's answer. After that, we moved to the headquarters of the Demon Defense Force, specifically the bathhouse. There, Ren told Belle about her discussion with the Prime Minister's staff and said that the government had high expectations for them. In a sorrowful tone, Belle replied that in that case, she should simply be demoted from her position as commander. Ren listened carefully, as Belle said that if they fought the 8 thunder gods, she would be the first to die, and she began to tear up as she said it. Ren stopped listening, stood up, and said that Belle was too weak-willed, causing Belle's expression to shift from sadness to a startled flinch. Ren added that no one could kill Belle except herself, and that she had no intention of killing her friend, meaning Belle. Belle was touched by that, and Ren told her to have confidence and smile. However, Belle could not do it because of her fear, so Ren grabbed her face, shocking her. Ren asked what was wrong and once again told her to smile. She even played with Belle's face, as if she was a baby, forcing her to smile. Ren was satisfied when she finally saw Belle smiling, even if it was only a forced smile caused by her own actions. Then, from the bathhouse at the Demon Defense Force headquarters, the scene shifted to another area in Matto, where all the commanders were gathered. Ren told them that the coordinates provided by Yumeji were 155 meters below their current position, so they would be entering it. We then noticed that in place of Kyoka, Himari was present, because Kyoka was assigned to stay with Yumeji for further information. Fubuki asked what the plan was, and Ren replied that she would charge in with the first strike. The others were to follow as soon as they heard from her or after 10 minutes had passed, whichever came first. Konomi asked with concern whether Ren planned to go in alone, saying it was too dangerous, but Ren simply said that she would be better on her own. Ren then activated her ability, causing powerful winds to surge through the area, and she added that this method allowed her to bring out all of her strength. Konomi was satisfied after seeing Ren's power activation and said that that is right. Ren then said she would be bringing equipment and called out to Yuki, who responded with yes ma'am. She told him to accompany her using his slave form and dig a hole to the underground. Yuki was greatly shocked, remembering that this meant using his dangerous Eternal Chains Killer Fong form. Konomi, Tenka, and Mira immediately objected. Tenka insisted that Yuki would be caught up in Ren's attack, while Mira said she could assess the situation using one of her clones, already manifesting it that pointed at itself. Ren replied that it would be fine, because Yuki's injuries healed instantly while he was in that form. Yuki then spoke up in a commanding tone, telling Konomi, Tenka, and Mira to let him do it. Ren looked at him, and he added that if they did not act against the 8 thunder gods, they would never have peace, thinking of his sister and her friends deep inside his heart. So if there was anything he could do, he would give it everything he had. Konomi, Tenka, and Mira accepted his resolve, and Mira recalled her clone. After that, Yuki began digging, rapidly burrowing downward while Ren rode on his back. Yuki continued digging downward, and before long, he and Ren had reached the base of the 8 thunder gods, where they were surrounded by smoke due to the sheer amount of debris. When the smoke cleared, the two of them could be seen already positioned for battle. There, Shikoku greeted them and welcomed them to that base, with Joryu by her side. Ren merely stared at them emotionlessly and asked if aren't there supposed to be 7 of them. Shikoku replied that this was not their home base, and that they would not reveal an extremely important location to a mere human. In fact, she said they were already planning to have that place demolished, but because Ren was heading there, they decided to greet her instead. Ren did not seem to believe that the two of them truly wanted to welcome her, pointing out that their goal was to destroy humans. Then, she flipped her cape and stood up, declaring that the gods were dismissed because Japan, and namely herself, would be the ones managing Mado from now on. Shikoku appeared briefly taken aback after hearing that, before smirking and thinking that Rin was surprisingly easy to read. After that, she called Joryu to fight, prompting her to step forward, while Rin called on Yuki as her representative. Yuki immediately used sacrificial goad on Joryu, causing a symbol to appear beside her head, but Joryu simply grabbed it and shattered it into pieces, shocking Yuki. Meanwhile, Rin remained unfazed, while Shikoku remarked that she had not known it could be broken and loudly praised Joryu, who said that Rin and Yuki incoming to attack. Just as she said, Rin and Yuki launched their attack. Yuki struck with a downward swipe, but Joryu blocked it using only one hand. Using her right hand, she then delivered a counter punch to Yuki, resulting in nearly half of his body being destroyed. However, in an instant, Yuki's body healed as if nothing had happened, which did not surprise Joryu at all. Yuki charged once more, and this time he unleashed a double crossbody slash, which Joryu met head-on, blocking the attack using only her arms. In a mocking tone, she even commented that it was a nice attack. Then, using one foot, she stomped the ground with tremendous force, unleashing a powerful seismic wave. Yuki struggled to withstand the force of the seismic wave, while Rin activated her ability and asked herself whether it was possible to cancel out godly attributes using her ability nullification. It became clear that Yuki had been incapacitated by the attack, while Rin was already charging forward at that moment. She selected a power-based ability and applied it to both of her eyes to further enhance it, even as Joryu rushed toward her. She asked whether Joryu was a god confident in her own strength, and thought that an indirect approach might be the most effective, but she preferred to rely on brute force. At the same time, she prepared herself to counter Joryu and poured her strength into her right hand. Suddenly, Shikoku emerged from behind her, causing her to lose focus. She turned around and saw that Shikoku was already preparing to attack, prompting her to become serious, as she was about to receive two simultaneous attacks from gods. Joryu used Earth Crust Dragon Fist, surrounding her right hand with rocks, while Shikoku used Dark Ripple, an attack in which she released a dark sphere that behaved like a black hole. At that moment, with gods attacking from both her front and her back, Rin thought it was time to commit deicide, that act of killing a god, and as saying that she had a look of a killer in her eyes. She planted both of her feet and performed what looked like a swipe breakdance move, kicking both gods at once. Joryu was sent flying a great distance and rolled across the ground, while Shikoku was launched far away until she slammed into a wall, creating cracks. Rin immediately rushed toward her and stabbed her using only her arm, piercing her through the body. However, to Rin's shock, the Shikoku in front of her began to dissolve. She staggered back in surprise upon realizing it was only a fake, and when she looked behind her, Joryu and Shikoku were already leaving through a portal, with Shikoku saying that this was exactly what she expected from the Supreme Commander. She added that since they had already given their greetings, they would be leaving, and she thought that with those words, the groundwork had already been laid. Rin tried to rush forward and punch the two of them, but the portal created by Shikoku had already closed. She was surprised that they had escaped, and when she surveyed the surroundings, she noticed no other enemies. She then laughed, because now that she had fought the 8 Thunder Gods, she was certain that not even a single god could defeat her, because she was Rin Yamashiro. After that, Yuki was shown still not moving, as he began to detransform. He woke up afterward, and the first thing he saw was Rin, who told him that they were going to settle the score. She pulled out a dog collar and told him she would make him understand who the real dog was. Rin then asked whether Yuki had retained his consciousness while he was in slave form. Yuki said that he had held on through sheer determination until he started digging. After that, he remembered nothing once they had reached the base of the 8 Thunder Gods, and Rin said that she had controlled him fairly well with the chain and that she knew he was well trained after all. Next, she said she would train Yuki in his human form and make sure he knew his place, which left Yuki terrified. She then pulled out a bone and said she would have him fetch it and make him bark like a dog. Yuki was about to say something, but just as he started, Rin asked what it was. He asked Rin whether she had experienced the force of the compulsion from the reward, and she said it was a good question. She then activated her ability and said that she had taken measures to counter that coercive power. She explained that by lodging the same abilities in both of her eyes, she could increase their output, and with double ability nullification, she could cancel out the coercive power of the reward. Yuki was shocked and asked how that was possible, but before he could finish, Rin told him that he was the first person to expand her abilities, so she praised him for it. Then, in a menacing tone, Rin said they would begin and moved to put the dog collar on Yuki. However, to Ren's shock, the collar suddenly ended up on her instead, and Yuki was also stunned and froze in place. Ren could not believe she had put the collar on herself, so she asked what it meant, but Yuki told her not to ask him, as he raised his hand toward Ren, and it looked like he was pushing her back because of her earlier action when she was about to put the collar on him. When Ren saw Yuki's hand, her body suddenly moved on its own, squatting down and posing like a dog. She then rubbed her cheek against Yuki's hand, leaving him unable to believe what he was seeing. At that moment, Ren realized in horror that she had once again become the one being petted. After that, to Yuki's shock, his hand slowly moved toward Ren on its own to pet her. He smiled while doing it and asked the Supreme Commander who was a good girl. Enraged and irritated, Ren asked what was going on with that ability, and Yuki said he did not know either. After that, Ren pushed him down, forcing him to lie back, and she slowly moved closer to his face even though she was reluctant. Blushing, Ren kissed Yuki and licked his lips like a dog affectionately licking its owner. Yuki tried to reason with Supreme Commander Ren, but she kept licking him and pressing her body down on him. When Yuki shouted for her to calm down, the Supreme Commander suddenly looked at the bone she had been holding earlier. Her eyes locked onto it, and she hoped that she would not take it, but at that moment, like a dog, she happily went to the bone and picked it up with her mouth. She then returned to Yuki and barked like a dog, giving him a look that begged him to play with her. Awkwardly, Yuki thanked her because he did not know what else to do, and as he petted Ren on the head, she was cursing him in her thoughts and almost crushing the bone in anger. At that moment, Ren's phone rang, notifying her that the other commanders would arrive in 1 minute. Ren was shocked because all the commanders were heading to where they were, and they would see her like this. She was extremely afraid because of the embarrassment, and Yuki saw the fear on her face. He immediately made a decision and told her it was okay, much to her shock. She glared at him, and Yuki added that he would do high-speed petting so they could finish in under a minute. Ren was touched that Yuki had thought of her situation, and at that moment, he laid her down. Yuki removed Ren's coat and her shorts, which left her shocked by how fast he did it. After that, her expression changed from surprise to one of endurance at what was happening to her. That was because Yuki was petting her legs, and at the same time she realized that even though she had no choice, she now knew that Yuki was a beast. After he petted her legs, Yuki removed her bra, causing her large melons to spill out, and he petted her stomach as she barked like a dog in embarrassment. Because of Yuki's high-speed petting, the reward ended quickly, so Ren got dressed right away, and when the commanders arrived, she reported to them that out of the 8 thunder gods, 2 of them had been there and had fought them. She added that the enemies had fled because they were afraid of her. Because of that, Konomi commented of course Ren would send multiple gods packing, while Fubuki said that it was not actually their home base. Yakumo said that was too bad, and Mira said it looked like they could get a lot from there. Ren then ordered them to hurry and analyze that area, and she was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. In the next scene, then moved to the headquarters of the Demon Defense Force, where Ren spoke with Yuki in the conference room. She said that Yuki wanted to support Kyoka as the Supreme Commander, and asked whether he had not thought that the situation earlier would have been a good opportunity to undermine her authority. Yuki replied that even without relying on that, he believed Kyoka could win fairly against Ren. Ren's expression did not change after hearing that, and she asked whether the high-speed petting had been for her sake. Yuki replied that he had thought Ren did not want to be seen by others like that. Because of that, she stared deeply at Yuki, making him nervous. Then she stood up and said that he was impudent. She then pointed at Yuki's chest and said she would make sure to return the favor and put Yuki in his place. After that, she left, and in her thoughts, she said she would never forget that second humiliation. In the next scene, Yuki was seen in his Eternal Chains slave form meditating under a waterfall looking extremely focused and calm. After that, Kyoka asked him how it felt to meditate under a waterfall in his slave form. He said it felt good and that it had cooled his head because he had been feeling agitated recently due to his recent battles. Kyoka asked if that was because he was struggling against the upgraded Shuki, and she said it was amazing how Ryu and the others had defeated it in a single blow. She added they had found the enemy's weakness, and that it was a matter of experience while patting Yuki on the back, which made him blush. Kyoka also said that the reason Yuki had been destroyed by the gods was because Rin did not know how to handle him. She said it would be fine now that she was holding his reins, and he replied, "Yes, ma'am," with delight. Then Kyoka suddenly noticed something that surprised her slightly, which was a woman waiting for them at the dorm. It turned out to be Tenka, who waved at them in greeting, and Kyoka's annoyance was clear on her face when she saw her. Kyoka said she thought Tenka would come in the morning, but Tenka replied that she had finished her work early. She added that time was of the essence, so they should share the information they had about the Onii Bureau right away. Kyoka said to wait a moment, but Tenka insisted it was fine because she would also be giving a reward, which made Kyoka angrily ask how that could possibly be fine, leaving Yuki unsure how to react. Then they went into the room, and Kyoka and Tenka started undressing, with Kyoka saying that the reward for that day was lying down together, and Tenka remarking that it was good the bed was big. In the middle of all that, Yuki just stood there stunned, because two women were undressing in front of him. They made him lie down while petting his body together, and Kyoka said it was a rather tame reward, while Tenka mentioned that Yuki was tired. Yuki shyly told them not to worry about him, and to feel free to discuss the Onii Bureau. Kyoka then said that Yumeji was alive but had not woken up, and Tenka added that it would likely take a long time before she recovered. She then asked if everything had worked out, and Kyoka said yes, and that she would visit Yumeji soon. She added that there was a chance the enemy might attack Yumeji, so for security purposes, she was told about the structure of the Onii Bureau aside from the basement, and as she said that, she removed Yuki's shirt. Tenka said she already knew the basement was suspicious, and she removed Yuki's boxers. After that, she mentioned that she's been getting to know someone from the Onii Bureau, the woman who was with Kyoka guarding Yumeji. Then they both made Yuki hold their melons, and Tenka said that the woman she knew had told her the basement was full of secrets heavily guarded by abilities. Kyoka said they needed to find a way to check what was in there, while Yuki was already sweating from nervousness because of what they were making him do as part of his reward. In the next scene, we move to the headquarters of the Demon Defense Force, where Supreme Commander Ren was speaking with Belle. Ren told her it was time to revamp the third squad. Part of the away staff would be brought back to work under Belle's squad, and it was revealed that the away team was a separate group whose goal was to harvest Mado peaches, with one of their members being Hirono Kuwe. Belle looked relieved and smiled, saying that was reassuring. Ren then ordered her to go to the 7th squad to train her body and soul, which shocked her. Ren added that when she herself trained Belle, she tended to go easy on her, which made Belle afraid. Ren noticed her expression and told her not to make that face, causing Belle to flinch in fear. Ren then approached her, grabbed her by the neck, and told her she needed to be punished. She pushed her down and lifted her skirt, telling her to act like a commander while spanking her. Ren kept hitting Belle while telling her to fix herself, and Belle was almost in tears from the pain, eventually apologizing while crying. After that, we moved to the 7th squad, where Kyoka informed them that starting that day, Belle would be joining their training sessions. Belle apologized for causing trouble even though she was also a commander. Kyoka said that first they should show everyone Belle's attacking ability, so Belle complied. She went in front of a massive boulder and with nervousness in her eyes, aimed her hands at it. She used Laughing God of Longevity Canopus, causing a ball of light to appear on the boulder. Yuki was shocked, while Kyoka explained that when Belle uses her ability, the target emits a light that could be called the life of the boulder. Belle took it, forcefully pulling it out from the boulder, and Kyoka added that when Belle took it, the target was reduced to ash. The boulder began to crack after Belle removed its life, until it completely crumbled apart. Kyoka said that Belle had the ability to destroy any tangible thing by taking its life, and that was the power of the 3rd squad commander, Belle Tsukiyono. Yuki and Shushu looked at her in fear, and when she noticed them, she looked embarrassed, bowed to them, and thanked them for having her as a guest. Yuki stared at Belle in amazement and commented that it was an amazing ability, one capable of destroying anything tangible. However, Belle said that when she used it on a strong opponent, she often ended up being attacked partway through extracting their lives. Kyoka then explained that cooperating with other ability users was essential to properly utilize that ability. She added that there were still many things they needed to fix, but that they should start with Belle's confidence, which made Belle ask in confusion how. Kyoka then grabbed Belle, put an arm around her, and shouted at full volume that Belle possessed boundless power, adding that gaining strength builds confidence, and that she would be putting her through special training, which shocked Belle and made her simply say okay, while the other 7th squad members nodded in agreement with Kyoka. Kyoka also told all of them to help Belle as well, which they energetically agreed to do. In the next scene, they began Belle's training, with Shushu and Himari taking the lead by giving her tips on bodyweight training such as sit-ups and push-ups, where Belle's struggle was clearly visible. After that, Kyoka personally handled her martial arts training, and by the end of it, Belle was even more exhausted and out of breath. That training was immediately followed by jogging outside the dorm together with Nei, but due to extreme fatigue and dizziness from everything she had been doing, Belle tripped while following Nei, which caught Nei's attention. Nei asked if she was okay, and Belle, completely out of breath, told her to keep going, but Nei approached her and held her hand. She told Belle that she would stay with her and encouraged her to reach their goal together. Belle saw the sparkle and glow on Nei's face as she eagerly tried to help her, which made Belle's eyes begin to tear up. After their intense training, they went straight to freshen up. There, Himari scrubbed Belle's back, prompting Belle to thank her, while Himari pointed out that scrubbing each other's backs was a tradition of the 7th squad. Belle shyly asked afterward if their training had been harder that day because of her, to which Himari cheerfully replied that it was actually more subdued than usual, sending a shiver through Belle at the thought that this still was not their normal routine. After that, the scene shifted to Yuki, who was slicing ingredients for the meal he was cooking. He commented inwardly that Belle was probably exhausted from the special training she had gone through. He decided to ask her if there was anything she wanted to eat, and just as he stepped out of the kitchen, he ran into Belle, who was already dressed to go out and carrying a duffel bag. He asked her if she was heading out and said that she was supposed to spend half the day with them at the dorm, to which Belle nervously replied that she had received an urgent call from the 3rd squad. Yuki commented that that was awful and asked if he should wake Kyoka, who was resting, so she could see Belle off, but Belle said it was fine and that she would just contact Kyoka later about it. Suddenly, Rin arrived, completely startling both Yuki and Belle, and immediately turned her gaze toward Belle. Belle quickly moved the bag behind her back and gave an awkward smile, prompting Rin to comment that she had figured it was about time Belle tried to give up. Rin immediately lifted Belle and carried her back to her room, leaving Yuki utterly confused. When they reached the room, Yuki told Rin what Belle had said about receiving an emergency call from the 3rd squad, and Rin informed him that it was a lie, which shocked him. Rin then stared at Belle and asked if it was true that she was trying to run away from her training, leaving Belle distressed as she realized she had been caught. She also noticed Yuki looking at her, which made her blush even more in embarrassment, and before long, she broke down in tears from fear and apologized while admitting that what Rin said was true. While sobbing, she explained that she thought she could put her best foot forward, but she simply could not keep up and felt that she was holding everyone back. She even said that Nei had to accommodate her. Yuki grew worried about her, while Rin merely looked at her coldly. Rin called out to Belle and said that at this point, she should tell Yuki about her background. Belle tried to reason her way out of it, but Rin simply replied with a frightening expression that it was fine. Belle shivered at that and lowered her head, but Yuki showed her kindness by wiping away her tears and telling her that she should dry them first, which prompted Belle to thank him. After that, while drinking tea, Belle began explaining to Yuki that she had been bullied at school in the past, and because she was such a screw-up, she said her parents had neglected her. To make it up to everyone, she prayed to obtain a powerful peach ability, and when she was given the chance to eat a peach, her prayers were fulfilled. The day eventually came when she was interviewed by the Supreme Commander at the time, Tavara, who told her that her ability was extraordinary and close to the level of a Supreme Commander. She was invited to join the Demon Defense Force, and she said she was welcomed with special treatment. Her accompanying teacher was shocked during the conversation, and even Belle herself had her eyes widened at the opportunity she had been given. She said that the offer spread in the blink of an eye. The opinions of those around her flipped on a dime, and she became someone special, which clearly brought her immense joy. Some people were afraid of her, but she said she was still happy because she was no longer being bullied. Even her family and relatives began treating her better, and so she joined the Demon Defense Force, where she met the other commanders who were members at the time. However, she added to her story with a lifeless look that this was where she saw a gathering of superhumans. Here in Maddo, she said there was nothing special about her, and because of that, her budding self-esteem vanished. Still, she said she was part of the Demon Defense Force, so she did her best to hold on. But the enemies had grown far too strong, and she could no longer keep up. Yuki stared at her, as if noticing something in what Belle had said. He called out to her and asked whether she wanted to continue with the Demon Defense Force, or if she wanted to quit. Belle lowered her head and hesitated to answer. But before long, she steeled herself and said how she truly felt, that she still wanted to continue if she could. She broke into tears again as she confessed her true desire, that she wanted everyone to like her. Yuki's eyes widened when he heard that, and he immediately took Belle's hand and told her to try her best together with him. Belle stared at him as she felt his support, while Rin smiled at what he did. In Yuki's mind, he said inwardly that he had initially joined the Demon Defense Force because he wanted to be a hero, and that he understood how Belle felt. With determination clearly visible in his eyes, he declared inwardly that they would grow stronger together. In the next scene, Yuki accompanied Belle to speak with Kyoka, and he told her that he thought they should reduce Belle's training load. He explained that aside from training, Belle also needed to carry out her duties as the commander of the third squad, which made Kyoka pause to think. She struggled to make a decision and tapped her temple as she said that she had actually planned to go easy on Belle, but it seemed that it had not been enough after all. Before long, Kyoka agreed to his request, prompting Belle to happily thank her, while Yuki said that he would work around his schedule so he could still train together with her. After that, Yuki did exactly that, and while they were doing body training, he cheered Belle on so she could push herself further. Shushu was pleased with Belle's performance, and Yuki praised her as Nei handed her some water. They trained in martial arts again with Kyoka after that, with Yuki still accompanying them, and Belle's improvement in her movements was clearly visible. When they ran laps outside the dorm, Belle did not tire as quickly this time, and even managed to overtake Nei and reach the finish line first, causing her to cheer in joy as the others watched her happily. After that, the scene shifted to Ren's house, where she was playing with her dogs, Kaname and Miyabi, while talking to Yuki through her tablet. She asked him whether Belle was keeping up with Kyoka's training, to which Yuki agreed and said that it could not be going any better, prompting Ren to comment that that was good. She also said that to boost training efficiency, she was preparing Shangri-La, which made Yuki ask what that was, and Ren replied that he should ask Kyoka about it later. More importantly, Ren added that when she called him, he should answer more quickly, which left Yuki momentarily speechless before saying that he would do his best. After that, Yuki prepared food for everyone and served a variety of dishes. When Belle took a bite of one of them, she glowed brightly and clearly found it delicious. Kyoka commented that Yuki's cooking was the pride of the 7th squad, making Yuki scratch his head in embarrassment at the praise. While they were eating, Kyoka asked Belle if it was true that the severely injured members of the 3rd squad would be able to return soon, to which Belle nodded and explained that she thought she might not be very popular with them anymore, but said with a smile that she would still do her best. Yuki and Kyoka both smiled when they heard that, but the moment was abruptly cut short when the surroundings suddenly shook violently, sending their food flying and startling them. They immediately got dressed and rushed outside to see what had caused the tremor, where they found an enormous, abnormal Shuki forcefully trying to break the barrier surrounding their dorm. When they took a closer look at the Shuki's appearance, which seemed to resemble a human face, Belle immediately told them that it was the enemy with a steel body that had attacked her squad. As Yuki grew concerned upon seeing cracks forming in the barrier, Kyoka asked Belle whether any other Shuki had absorbed the remains of the one they had fought. Kyoka then offered her hand to Yuki, and when Yuki took it and kissed it, he transformed into his slave form while Belle stared at them. Yuki then urged Kyoka to move, and Kyoka immediately dashed forward while shouting for them to go. Belle shyly called out to get their attention, and when they turned to look at her, She asked them to let her be the one to defeat the giant. Yuki and Kyoka both stared at her, but Kyoka quickly commented that it was well said. She told Belle to try using Yuki, and Yuki swiftly moved closer to Belle and said that he would help her. Belle then grabbed the chains of her collar, which immediately caused a powerful beam of light to erupt. Before long, Yuki transformed into his new form when paired with Belle, Eternal Chain's Moonveil. Belle smiled when she saw his transformation, then noticed something strange as their bodies seemed to slowly fade away. The two of them were shocked as it happened, and when they completely vanished, Yuki could not believe that they had become invisible. Kyoka charged forward after that and told them to put that special feature to use as she did. The giant Shuki noticed Kyoka, turned toward her, and attempted to punch her. However, Kyoka easily evaded the monster, and as she landed on its arm, she swiftly dashed again and delivered a solid slash straight to its forehead. Despite the attack, it did not cut very deeply into the Shuki's head, causing it to growl as it turned toward her, while Kyoka was surprised and commented inwardly that it was tough and would take time to defeat. Just as the Shuki was about to reach her, a ball of light suddenly began to emerge from the center of its chest, making Kyoka turn toward it and add inwardly that there was a catch. The Shuki's life force continued to pour out and completely separated from its body. The Shuki immediately reacted in shock and confusion as that happened, and something landed on the ground soon after, its body gradually crumbling as Yuki and Belle slowly revealed themselves after Belle extracted the monster's life. Before long, the Shuki's entire body completely disintegrated, while Belle and Yuki struck an impressively cool pose. As the smoke from the Shuki's disappearance cleared, Kyoka emerged and happily praised them, giving a thumbs up and saying that they had done brilliant work. Belle glowed with joy at what she and Yuki had accomplished, and the two of them gave each other a high five. After a short while, Yuki returned to his human form and explained that becoming invisible consumed an enormous amount of energy. Kyoka told them that she could still sense them even while they were invisible, so they should not get overconfident, to which Belle said that still, that feature suited her ability perfectly, which Kyoka agreed with and said had been worth trying. Just as Kyoka was about to add that it was time for the reward, Belle suddenly realized what she meant, began blushing, and shyly asked if she was right that she was referring to the reward. Kyoka stared at her for a moment, then said that she would keep watch for them, so they should go ahead and finish it. She turned away afterward and kept watch over the surroundings, while Belle immediately turned to Yuki and thanked him for accepting, which made Yuki nervous as he agreed. Kyoka, meanwhile, was clearly uncomfortable with what was about to happen. After that, Belle asked Yuki if he could help her stretch. She said that he should take off her clothes so it would be easier for her to move, causing Yuki to stare at her, while Kyoka was clearly still uncomfortable. Belle added that she had already heard about the reward and that she was fine with it. Yuki clenched his fist while feeling flustered and replied that he understood, slowly bringing his hand closer to Belle. Belle turned completely red as she closed her eyes, and Kyoka did the same while anticipating what was about to happen. However, Kyoka could not hold herself back and suddenly turned toward them, shouting Yuki's name, which startled and confused both of them. She froze when she realized what she had done and quickly made an excuse. She explained that being outside was probably part of the reward as well, then pointed out that it was dangerous, so they should just hurry up, to which Yuki replied that he understood. Kyoka turned away from them again and simply closed her eyes, while Yuki began removing Belle's jacket, her face turning bright red. When he started to unbutton Belle's inner long sleeves, she let out a squeal of embarrassment, causing him to stop in concern. Belle, despite clearly flustered, said that she was fine and was just nervous. Yuki asked if he should continue, and Belle answered while stuttering from embarrassment. Because of that, Yuki slowly continued unbuttoning her clothes, revealing her bra. Belle's entire body began trembling from embarrassment, her face flushing deeply as she shouted loudly with tears forming in her eyes. Yuki immediately stopped again and worriedly asked if she was really okay, wiping away her tears. Even though she was still trembling, Belle said that she had decided on this herself, but that she was shaking because she was so embarrassed, calling herself pathetic as she cried. Yuki tried to call out to her, but on her own accord, Belle said that she would still change this about herself. She shouted that her body would definitely shake and that she would probably make weird noises, but told Yuki not to pay attention to it, which shook Yuki with her determination. Because of that, Yuki shouted back that he agreed, and Belle shouted back that that was good, ordering him to give her courage. Yuki fully removed her long sleeves after that, and immediately followed by removing her skirt. He began stretching Belle's body from behind while pulling her arms, causing Belle to let out a moan, while Kyoka listened to the sounds she was making. After that, Yuki helped stretch Belle's back by rotating her arms, causing Belle to continue moaning. A little later, Yuki focused on her legs, and as Kyoka continued to hear the sounds Belle was making, she grew even more frustrated and uncomfortable. Before long, their reward session ended, and Yuki asked Belle if she was okay, to which Belle replied while panting and sweating that it was quite the ordeal. However, she added with a happy expression that she felt like she had become a little braver, causing Yuki to smile as well. Kyoka turned back toward them again and informed them that a message had arrived while the reward was happening. Shangri-La had been unlocked, and the 7th and 8th squads would be having a joint training session inside it. Yuki immediately remembered Varvara when the 8th squad was mentioned, while Kyoka informed Belle that she would be joining them as well, which Belle agreed to while getting dressed. Yuki then asked what Shangri-La was, so Belle explained that it was a place created through an ability where time flowed differently. Kyoka also told him that even if they trained inside Shangri-La for a long time, only a few moments would pass in the real world. It had only been unavailable for a while due to several reasons, but it had now reopened. In Belle's mind, she said that she would thoroughly research inside so she could truly master her ability, while Kyoka suddenly handed her katana to Yuki and shouted that he would have plenty of training with her after that, causing Yuki to immediately reply with a loud yes ma'am. In the next scene, we move to the Demon Defense Force 3rd Squad dorm, where Belle took a shower after their training, a smile clearly visible on her face. She thought inwardly that she was glad she had gone to the 7th Squad. She needed to become the kind of commander everyone expected, fully mastering her ability and repaying her squad members who had been so kind to her. She cheered herself on and said that she would do her best. Suddenly, a being that looked just like her but had a different coloration appeared and mocked her by saying that this was the end for her, which shocked her completely. It immediately stabbed her before she could react, and it was shown that the creature's entire arm had pierced straight through the center of Belle's chest. When it pulled its hand out, blood poured from the hole, and Belle vomited blood. The creature then formed its left hand into a massive blade, and the moment Belle saw it, it attacked again, causing her eyes to widen in shock. The creature wildly swung its blade hand, striking Belle across multiple parts of her body. Numerous cuts appeared across Belle's body from the attack, and after a short while, she collapsed to the ground from her wounds. The creature returned its hand to normal and said that it would leave Belle with one final parting gift. She had been targeting her for a long time. She took advantage of the chaos when the barrier was broken by the special Shuki that attacked earlier, allowing her to sneak into the dorm and hide. She pulled out a card resembling Shikoku's Shuki cards and added that naturally, no one noticed her because she was Fukuma, the god who excelled at stealth. She explained that she had spent a long time learning Belle's speech patterns and mannerisms, then threw the card toward her while adding that she also had to acclimate her body to the human barrier. The card landed, showing the image of a mortally wounded Belle, and she added that now, she no longer needed her. The card began absorbing Belle's body, and before long, she became the image sealed within it. Fukuma picked up the card and said it would be bad if Belle's body were discovered, so she decided it would be better to collect her now. As Fukuma's color shifted to perfectly match Belle's body, she stated that the next target on her list was the 8th Squad commander, Varvara Pilipenko. Once Fukuma had completely taken Belle's appearance, she happily said, now using Belle's exact tone of voice, that she would do her best.